Well, well, well. You're back again. You've come back. You're here because another day, another prediction. How did I do? How did I do? Turns out that yesterday was another example. Mike was fucking right. Hasan reacting to your prediction. Turns out you were spot on.
With New York, he nailed it. Okay, he nailed it. We shall see if he's right. Okay, I'm never going to be as confident as Michael from Pennsylvania is. You guys know my policy. Until it's over, we keep fighting. Okay, it's not over until it's done. I'm always going to be nervous, especially the day of the election. You guys have seen me go through the motions every single time. You watched me do this in New York City. I was in New York City, and until the night of the election, until we found out exactly what the margins look like, the margins of victory. You know.
Okay, we're on 2x speed. So hold on, we might have to rewatch the clip. I'm getting caught as a 2x degenerate. I have to speed things up to 2 times just so it catches up to my thinking. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a 2x degenerate. Okay. I can't wait for I can't wait through everybody else's pauses and, like, you know, the way they slowly work up to an argument. I can't. I have to speed it up. ADHD and autism? No. Yes. Am I a suit guy for today? Listen, when you just keep getting it fucking right, when you're just correct, you just become a suit guy. Because suit guy equals more correct, I guess. More like you need the 2x to keep your attention focused. Nah, if I wanted my attention focused, I'd need like 4x. 2x is like out of one side of my ear, you know? Like that's not focused. So let's rewatch this. If you're getting here, I made a bit of a prediction yesterday. I told you that I was extremely confident that Melat got it. I then explained to you how the night was going to proceed. So I told you that when the final result comes out, she'll be winning by 10 to 15 when all the votes are in. I told you after the first early vote drop and the early drop, she'd be up between 4 and 6, that the gap would continue to grow throughout the night and it would be called in her favor. Literally everything I said. So not only was I right about who won, I was also right with how it would be counted. I also was correct about how the night would proceed. I said on stream 10 to 15. I said she would do it by at least 10. But the range that I had was 10 to 15. Here you go. Will we know who wins tonight? I think Colorado has some mail-in voting, right? But I think they should have it all counted before the polls close. I think we should have a good sense. And I also think we'll know by tonight because she'll be winning by so much. When the polls close and the first big drop will be somewhere around 4 to 6 points. And then it'll rise up to 10 plus after all the votes are counted. Will we know who wins tonight? I think Colorado has some mail-in voting, right? But I think they should have it all counted before the polls close. I think we should have... I didn't predict this would happen.
Hank B from Colorado says, "Hey Steve, I'm a big numbers guy. What kind of lead would it take to call District 1? Oh, okay. So let's pick up, right?
The answer was you should have called it after the second drop. Colorado did hourly reporting. So, I mean, here's the thing, chat. Reporting early is just for all of us, right? It's actually kind of a little bit of a waste of time. But everybody is so fucking anxious that they have to have the numbers, right? So they do hourly reports in Colorado, okay? So they were doing big dumps on the hour, right? They didn't want to give DSA a win. I mean, it was fucking clearly over. As I said before, as I said yesterday, the important thing to look at was what was the early vote, right? That was be the votes that were cast, you know, right as the mail-in voting process began. That's going to be older. That's going to be wealthier. That's going to be more conservative boomer Democrats, right? And as the votes come in closer to election day and the election day votes, those are going to be significantly more progressive, right? And that's exactly what we've seen, right? That's exactly what we've seen. So when she was winning, I think she was up 2.5 right from the early vote alone. It was over at that point. There was no chance DeGette was going to win. DeGette needed to have a 4 or 5 point lead minimum with the early vote in order to actually win. So when she was losing the early vote, it was already over. It was already fucking over. We could have called it right off the bat. I wanted to have at least one drop that wasn't the early vote before I called it. And when that happened, I said it was fucking over. They waited until there were 2 drops, aka Steve Karnacki was not on the screen.
Where we left off. Well, I can't give you the exact
every
answer to
90
that
minutes,
because I'm
Thank you,
not
Maple
the
takes.
decision desk. But what the decision desk has told us, and if you were watching him,
I was door knocking, it got on stream, and I'm telling you, it is a little overwhelming. Didn't realize I was about to. What do you mean you got on stream? What do you mean by that? I was doubting your prediction last night, but overnight she's 10 up, grass is green, sky is blue, and Mike is right. I think one of the things, like, listen, I'm not even offended at this point. Like, at this, like, if I got offended, the thing is about these predictions is, obviously, I'm not trying to be egomaniac here, but so many people just get them wrong, and then they get hired for jobs and shit. You know what I mean? It's like, but like, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to stunt on these hoes. I'm going to stunt on these hoes. I'm not just going to give you the final number. I'm going to give you the goddamn entire how the night is going to go. I'm going to see through the vision of the future for you. And it still was completely nailed. And again, it's not about me being correct. It's about the narrative around predictions. Do you understand? I can just nail this shit after I can nail this shit a million fucking times and nothing's ever going to change. Really. Unless the narrative around predictions changes. I was there talking my shit about hospitals and talking to the camera, Haas and everybody and Chris and Summer. It was sick as hell. I had like, oh, send it over, brother. And I don't know if you saw that, but a bunch of the chorus creators were trying to call me an anti-Semite yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw that. Because they knew it was going to be another case of Mike was right. Because I helped Francesca Hong raise $100,000, chat. You think that goes unnoticed? Do you know how hard it is to raise money? Like, you guys see me raise 10K in a stream for someone, and we're like, that was kind of a weak stream. But to a politician, that's insane, especially a grassroots one who doesn't have establishment backing. When they see us drop 100K, they start to get scared. Because if somebody could raise $100,000 without any connection to the establishment or right-wingers or billionaires, they actually could start hiring people for a campaign and start showing up at doors. Solio was on stream with Hasan. That's not Solio. That's not Solio. It's going to end at 10%. No, it's going to end. She's going to end up leading by about 13, I would say. I think my 10 to 15% prediction will be she'll be exactly in the middle. That's my actual, like, my final prediction for, like, well, I mean, she might even end up more than that, to be honest with you. She gains significantly on each drop, like 2 or 3%. So let's just say I was right, you know? Thanks to the huge viral rally, Oliver Larkin raged 212,000 this quarter. I mean, Oliver's one of my guys, you know? Fran is one of my guys. Like, I legitimately, like, Oliver, we had him on first before anybody, you know? Like, it is what it is. Like, you know, we were definitely a big part of him getting endorsed by the national DSA because we added just a little bit of juice, There are still several House Democrats at risk of losing primaries to progressive challengers this summer. Oh, there's more people. Jared Moskowitz is definitely on this list. They're incorrect. They don't know what they're talking about, which is okay. The thing is, like, with Hasan now, our audience is now organized. What's my prediction for Fred and Oliver? Well, we'll have to see. I don't have any numbers to go off yet. Democratic Socialist and Unionist Oliver Larkin swayed delegates at the Florida AFL-CIO's annual endorsement convention this month against incumbent Democratic U.S. Congressman Jared Moskowitz, notably resulting in a no endorsement in the race. That's why local reporters are following me now, chat. They're catching on. It's part of the reason why I don't tweet. I don't put much of this on Twitter, because Twitter is just the home of the ops. You know, like, that's really, like, there's nothing to be gained from Twitter except grief, to be honest with you. But you have to use it in order to be relevant. Okay, that's cool. I didn't want to open that. But okay, I misclicked. I guess my fingers are off. When Mike warms up C, tosses up to Hasan, the other routes to Hasan too. Fuck. Son of a goddamn. I saw someone complain that Francesca was rooting for the Knicks. Like, that matters at all. Yeah. Mug strat lose by 32 points. Groundwork strat win. I wouldn't agree with that. I would say that all of us are responsible for that. All of us on DSA. There isn't any caucus that is taking credit for all this shit. You know? Like everybody who is involved and working takes credit. We're all joining in. And honestly, Mug is not part of the problem. Okay? Mug is definitely can be annoying from time to times, but I vibe with a lot of what they say, you know? Like they're not part of the problem. Editor Menta was on the latest Chapo, kept calling Claire Valdez Chavez and sounded genuinely upset that Daria Lisa won. Yeah, he's a Zio. Like his parents are gigantic Zionists. He's very bad at this. He's also not funny. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like I don't get it. Like this morning he posted something so stupid that I had to reply to it, which is somebody said a contradiction at the heart of DSA's electoral program is that more effective to build a block of state and local legislators that elect high profile executive or federal seats. First off, wrong. Right off the bat. Well, he does. I don't think he's actually openly a supporter of Israel, but he comes from the Zionist bloc. Like his family are Zionists. So Daria Lisa, you know, being somebody that was protesting Israel October 8th. There's a lot of like anti-Zionists who like to spend their time calling half of our movement anti-Semitic. And they especially don't like when anybody says that the resistance is justified, right? I'm an anti-Zionist. I don't like Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, but how dare you? But if you say Israel's, you know, resistance to Israel is justified, well, then they start losing it, right? The Pod Johns are doing it. Like they're doing the same pearl clutching bullshit. Your formula from a few days ago was right. You need to have 3 items to win: a primary from the left, big endorsement, Zoran burning AOC, a Hasan stream, and DSA ground game, which is supplemented by Hasan stream, by the way, right? So like basically what's happening is Hasan, and to a lesser extent me, are providing air power. So what does that mean? It means national media attention, earned media that's valuable, and then we could come in and give you an injection of money. And then, and this is a charisma of the candidate obviously matters too. And then the last factor is we could throw in, like for GOTV, 500 to 1,000 extra highly motivated and skilled volunteers, and you can knock out, you know, a big boost for your field program. But you need to have like a built up infrastructure that's ready to absorb that and actually use it. You know what I mean? And that's where DSA comes in. If you have a local DSA, then you have like field organizing, you have turfs cut and phone bank lists generated, and you have targets, you know, you have the ability to absorb the energy that we could bring in and focus it into an actually useful campaign. You see what I mean? What are my thoughts about Donovan McKinney? He's on my list. Last night, a Canvas organizer said their group went from 50 to 70 after the Hasan stream, and people kept coming back. Yeah, exactly. So like we are doing something. Like we're basically creating our own mainstream socialist media. And the thing about you guys and the thing about our streams is that our chatters are not like normal viewers, right? The hundreds of thousands of people that watch Hasan, the 50 or so thousand people that regularly watch me. You guys are like the most elite political content consumers in the world. You don't just watch this shit and then sit back and then, you know, take it as entertainment or edification. You actually like take your wallet out, you throw $20 or $50 on a candidate, then you do a fucking packet, you do a phone bank, you knock some doors. Like these communities are more organized and more effective than any other community in the world. We are the unironic streamer vanguard. What do I make of the Pod Johns? I am the Democratic Socialist id. I despise liberalism. So if you want to know, but here's what I say. If they want to bring me on, I'll have a spirited debate with them in a climate of mutual respect. Well, maybe not respect, but cordiality. Well, maybe not cordiality, but I won't insult them. How about that? To their face. Kiros is currently in line with Xavier Hamaway. I can never just say Daria Lisa. That I can pronounce. I can't pronounce her last name without becoming mushmouth. Daria Lisa Hamaway. Let's see how much it expands. Or as I say, DAC. Like my mouth, my Scottish mouth cannot speak French. My body rebels. And I just make like some sort of noise a Highland sheep makes. I know you think Energementum is dumb, but him saying that Matt Iglesias looked like Lost Between Borders, smoking on the street guy from Norway who got stuck in Mumbai, was low-key goated. Yes, that's why everybody has to listen to his predictions and terrible analysis for the rest of our lives. Because he got fed a joke from fucking Felix. Does the old alliance mean nothing to you? Of course it does. We just can't speak it. Not okay. So let's make fun of Editor Mentum. So this is why Editor Mentum is bad for the left. His analysis so catastrophically wrong that it makes smart people do dumb things. All right, and so not only do you not have the kind of influence and credibility with voters to take out incumbents without a Mayor Zoran, but you don't even know which incumbents are vulnerable at all without him running. Okay, first of all, DSA had won races already. For example, Zoran Mamdani and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And they won by just running and then fighting for it. So yes, Zoran does make it easier because we now have a highly credible endorser and validator. Me? Oh, sorry. I didn't finish. Mike was right. Melat wins by 10. Cetrus mauled. There you go. I was in the middle of typing Melat and I stopped. Okay, so what's wrong with this? And he says, what extreme example of this dynamic? Bernie Sanders only ran for Mayor of Burlington in the first place because one of his allies noticed that he did well in the working class wards in the city during his doomed third-party bid for Vermont governor. A contradiction at the heart of DSA's electoral program is that it's more effective to build a block of state and local legislators than elect high-profile executive or federal seats. This is dead wrong. This is actually completely wrong and to such a catastrophic degree that it actually scares me. The best thing for DSA would be to win the presidency. Why? National movement building would go fucking nuclear during the campaign. 2, the president has a lot of power. The federal government is what is constraining socialism at the local level. Zoran Mamdani, if he had a president and a Congress that gave him $50 billion for public housing, how popular do you think he would be? Instead of spending $50 billion on attacking Iran, they gave $50 to Zoran Mamdani. How effective do you think he would be? How effective do you think they would be if they passed a federal high-speed rail initiative that set up a state-owned enterprise to build high-speed rail that crisscrossed the country? How effective do you think local DSA mayors and governors would be? It's actually the opposite. The bottom-up shit is heavily constrained because we have in our country the doctrine of preemption. What does that mean? It means that shit rolls downhill. The federal government preempts the state government preempts the local government. The county government, like that is the way that the power works in this country. So the more federal power you have, the more you could do locally. Now, it's not to say local stuff doesn't matter. It's an all of the above thing. We need to do everything. But right now, like, I want as many people to run for federal office as we can because we have enough validators. We have Bernie Sanders, we have AOC, and we have Zoran Mamdani. We don't need any more validators than that. We've got 3 high-level validators that are all very different people. And we've got other validators there too, but like nationally known validators. We have enough. So this is catastrophically wrong. Mike was right once again, respect. When I finally get something wrong, holy shit, is it going to be annoying. Holy shit, is it going to be annoying when I finally get something wrong. If I were Kamala, I'd be creating an alliance with AOC. Support her to take Schumer's seat, then promise her a role in the theoretical Harris administration and return AOC early endorses Harris. If that happens, Harris will be the overwhelming favorite to be the nominee. Here's what I would say. If AOC doesn't run and endorses Kamala Harris, I will support a primary of AOC. That would be such a catastrophically stupid decision that it would be unforgivable. Why wouldn't AOC run? There is no reason for her not to run.
Vance just said in an interview that he thinks you are going to be the leading Democratic candidate for president in 2028. What's your response to that?
I mean,
The one thing about AOC that I love is that she does have like one of those faces which is like perfect for a caricature or a political cartoon. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying she's bad looking or in any way. I'm just saying that like she's just very expressive. She has big teeth, big smile, dimples. So it's very, very funny.
It's crazy. That's crazy. Why are you cheesing like that? That's crazy. That's actually crazy. You might as well say, yeah, I am. That's crazy, AOC. That is
So, yeah, it is kind of. It wasn't a very good response. She was kind of taken aback. Kamala is texting Zoran and meeting pro-Palestine activists to hear them out. That's my reaction to that. That was my reaction to that. Let the AOC clip finish. All right, hold on. I will in a second. Hold on. I will. Wait. I will in a sec. I'll rewatch it in a second. I wanted to finish finish my edgermentum. I think he sucks ass at this and needs to never, ever, ever be on my feed, even though I can't help it. Oh, fuck. Did I close it? I made fun of edgermentum, so we've got to keep making fun of him. I said, no, only you don't have the skills to identify good opportunities. Voters are very, very willing to support DSA candidates because they support them on the issues. Please, for the love of God, don't listen to this 23-year-old with zero political or campaign experience. Stop. I actually think edgermentum always misses. And here's the thing. I am autistic. If somebody was making a good point, I would tell you, even if I don't like them. But he never does. He never fucking does. I thought he blocked you. He did. See this? Because I kept telling people he was 23 and that he has no political or campaign experience. He's basically Adam Mockler, but for Chapo, except doesn't debate people. Is this just like a Twitter guy? Unfortunately, he also has a Substack where he grifts a bunch of people with his absolutely garbage predictions. I am a Matt Crispin head. You know, that's the Chapo I remember. I feel about Chapo the same way I do about Star Trek, right? Star Trek Discovery is no Star Trek to me. The last Star Trek was Star Trek Enterprise. All the other Star Treks, they don't count. Even Star Trek Enterprise is like a 50% count, okay? And for me, Chapo, that's Matt Crispin's show. Strange New Worlds is not half bad. I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that one. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, okay. I actually don't know what the hell he's trying to say. I think what he's trying to say is that in order for them to win locally, they also have to win at big positions. But Zoran ran locally. Like going from state legislator to mayor of that city is running locally. So where's the contradiction? It doesn't even make sense. And then he's saying Bernie Sanders ran federally, but then ran locally. So there is no contradiction. That's not what contradiction means. I think it's just kind of sloppy, like half-formed thoughts that don't even really make sense if you think about them. Getting political advice from a 23-year-old is insane. No. I go by how good people are at their jobs, right? You could be 20, and if you're actually like firing off good like information, analysis, data, maps, predictions, I will go by your, like, you don't have to reach a certain age to be a political commentator. You just have to be good at it. And like, I'm constantly battling the discourses he's injecting into our space. Remember when he was all over Gretchen Whitmer? One of my favorite chatters used to spam me. I miss him, and I wish he would come back. I've just been busy, you know. It's been a minute since he messaged me. This is actually sad. What the fuck? Where is he at? The 18th Brumaire of Gretchen Whitmer. The DNC is keeping us from the Newsom Whitmer Looks Max ticket. I'd pick Whitmer. It was Whitmer, actually. Whitmer's voicemail be like, extremely real chance of President Walz while there's no shot of President Whitmer without a Trump win this year. I'm sick. Roughly how I feel about Whitmer seeing these polls. Whitmer Moggs. Whitmer would have 401% approval. To be clear, Whitmer could very well run in 2028 and win. This would be one of the better outcomes out of all the ones that should be available by then. It's just not certain that she would fit the spirit of the times the way she does now. Oh, is the stream lagging? Are we lagging? Punching the wall because Whitmer has no path. Was thinking of potential tickets that got stun locked by Whitmer Booker. I would rather kill myself than have Whitmer and Cory Booker be the fucking nominee. Cory Booker is literally one of the most bootlicking Zionists. Dude, this was in June of 2024. Whitmer 2024, acid, amnesty, and abortion. Whitmer would be up by 3 in Missouri, by the way. Whitmer would also be smart. When President Whitmer wins in a 2028 landslide and inherits Obama 08 margins, but the entire federal government is destroyed and the Supreme Court is now 7-2. Like, I like legitimately, this is like, and you know, then he was pumping up Andy Bashir, you know, John Ossoff. Why do I have to constantly battle John Ossoff propaganda? The guy is a fucking Zionist and a crypto money taker. He's not even good on the issues. John Ossoff. Did I say office? John Ossoff. Like, he's an enemy of ours. Like, he came into politics taking $45 million from like the Wall Street and then losing. Why do I have to exist in social democratic or democratic socialist circles and see Whitmer propaganda, Andy Bashir propaganda, John Ossoff propaganda? Meanwhile, this guy shit talks AOC, by the way. He's absolutely fucking useless. And he's not even funny. Like, none of this makes me laugh, dude. I'm even in here saying, LOL, come on, man. Edgar Mentum is no democratic socialist. Yeah, he absolutely is not. He just got retweeted by Chapo because he had a former Italian prime minister as his PFP. And he, I guess he made fun of like some liberal with a snarky tweet. But the guy is fucking bad at this. I'm sorry I even brought that up. I'm actually mauling that I'm even having to think that this guy exists. He talks shit about Plattner while like shit talking Graham Plattner is honest to God. It's blue sky liberal. That's what he really is. He's a blue sky liberal. Like, that's, if you want to understand what he's gonna say, go look at what Blue Sky is saying. I want you guys to understand that no one else is doing this. Like, there isn't another numbers guy who's getting it like this. He predicted 49 out of the 50 states in 2024.
Michael from Pennsylvania's prediction is Nevada, Arizona, done deal. North Carolina, Georgia, done deal. PA and Michigan.
He predicted Zoran Mamdani's exact margin in the primary, 56%.
Zoran Mamdani, the 33-year-old Democratic socialist who claimed a surprising victory in the New York City mayoral Democratic...
Surprising landslide. And by the way, chat, tomorrow we're getting the ranked choice votes. Tomorrow we get the ranked choice votes, and let me tell you, can't wait to see the landslide that we get. Because you think it's good now. Wait till tomorrow when he gets 56% of the vote. He predicted almost dead on accurate 3 congressional races the day before the election. My prediction is actually a different shirt, completely different jacket, actually, chat. Not even close to the same thing, totally different colors, different patterns. You guys are you're just dead wrong. Oso 46, Juan 6. No. It's gonna be more than that. Mine is like, I think it's 55 Valdez at least. I think 48 is way too low. My honest read is the negative spending hurt her significantly with older voters, and a challenge once primed for an upset may fall a couple points short. No. And the reason why I think it's going to be the other way. I think it's going to be her at 52 and Espeleta at 48. Why do I say that? Which was Oscar Romero was immaterial. The 4-point margin. That's what it was. Again, I forgot there was Oscar Romero in there. One, people are going to turn out big time. Right? They're going to turn out big time on election day for her. It's not going to compare to Zoran, but he doesn't need to do that well. She can give up 10 points, and she will compared to what Zoran did in that district, but she'll still win. That's why. So there you have it. So 55 for Claire and 52 for Dari. Those are my numbers. All right, what's the last one? Lander, I think, is at 65. Those are my odds turned off again. They are turned off for today, unfortunately. My prediction. Sorry, guys. That's probably someone you should listen to. I don't know. And like, again, what did I say from yesterday? Let's go back and check it out. Melat by what? Melat by what? And we've still got votes to come in. So I expect her around 13%, 12, 13% when it's all said and done. I think what happened with Hickenlooper is his numbers are crashing. So as more votes come in, Gonzalez is catching, but because she didn't run as a DSA candidate, she failed. And in Denver in particular, she won by 5. It looks like she's winning by 5, where Melat won by over 10. So she distanced herself from DSA, therefore she's losing. But it's a lot closer than people thought. She'll end up within single digits, which is basically what I thought. I thought she had like a coin flip chance. It was probably a little bit too high because her campaign was so like, do you see, like, she really got the score run up on her in these bumblefuck areas because nobody knew who she was. But in Denver, she won Denver. Right? But she trailed Melat. So there were Melat Hickenlooper voters. Disastrous. Absolutely disastrous. I think your predictions have an extra strength to it because you always declare them with a tone of authority followed by a thorough explanation. So when they're right, it's like, oh shit. It's almost as if my analysis is correct. There's also a little bit of magic to it, right? Where I'm like kind of going off of my sense. More. It's not like hard math. It's like I've noticed this range happens with these type of candidates and this type of situation, and voters are not significantly different between jurisdictions anymore. So you can kind of apply those to other races, and they've continued to apply, which is pollsters cannot poll this type of electorate with the DSA candidate. That's what's happening. The DSA candidate is pulling in new voters that are not polled, that are low propensity, that they don't see coming. And it's raising turnout by like 30, 40, 50%. And so the pollsters underestimate the left, and they do it consistently. Julia's not DSA, and yeah, she pulled out. Can someone find me a video of what Gonzalez like pulling out of DSA a year ago? We saw this phenomenon on the right with Trump too. Exactly. And it wasn't something that I pulled out of my ass, Dragon Army. It's something that I saw validated time and time again, which is the type of people that come out to vote for Trump are lower propensity, lower educated voters that have a lower propensity to respond to polling anyway, right? Harder to contact. And so Donald Trump has pretty consistently overperformed his polls. Now we're seeing the flip side with DSA. Will the Pittsburgh DSA beg Summer Lee to rejoin? She doesn't have to join. I would just want her to join DSA National. And then we'll work on the repairing of the local. You know what I mean? Like Summer Lee could join as a DSA national member. She doesn't have to join as a Pittsburgh DSA member. But if you're in Pittsburgh, I want you guys to work your ass off. Yeah, my DSA membership lapsed. Here's what she said.
How do you describe yourself, please?
I describe myself as an organizer turned senadora.
Are you a Democratic Socialist?
When I ran in 2018, I was really inspired by the way that DSA was organizing young people in a way that I thought was exciting and compelling. I signed up as a member back then. And
as far as I know, DSA Pittsburgh is doing well now, but they chased out a few of their DSA electeds because there was some like woke one cult around a grifter, and it was fucking horrible. So a bunch of white people got entranced by a woke one grifter, and they chased away Summer Lee and Sarah Imarato, and it was very embarrassing.
Actually got elected. With thanks to DSA's endorsement, all of the doors that those volunteers came and knocked on my behalf. I'm no longer a member. My membership has lapsed.
Why is that?
Because I've been doing the work at the Capitol, and I don't go to the organizing meetings, and I don't think that it's right to be a member, a card-carrying member of an organization that you don't actually show up to the meetings for.
Yeah, I guess I'm not so much patting you down for a membership card. I'm asking, like in your head, philosophically, are you a Democratic Socialist?
I am a Democrat.
How do you describe yourself, please?
So she distanced herself from Democratic Socialism, and she underperformed. She underperformed DSA. And this is something that I don't tolerate, by the way. So you didn't see me talking up Julie. I just thought she had more of a chance because of how unpopular centrism is. But her underperformance of Melat in Denver by a significant margin. I mean, we can look at the numbers, right? Like Melat right now is 67,959 votes in Denver. And let me see here. Where is it? Fuck. God. She's at 70,000. So she has more of Denver's like geography, but she's only up on Hickenlooper. Oh wait, sorry. She's only up on Hickenlooper by about 5 points. Less than 5 points up on Hickenlooper. Meanwhile, Melat is up 10. And remember, senators are the entire city and the entire state, whereas districts are not exactly the same thing. Harry Enton says Democrats need to go right wing to win the Senate, except every single candidate is fucking losing, except for like the only candidates that are doing well against their Republicans are Abdul El Sayed and Graham Plattner. They finally got one really bad Graham Plattner poll, but if you look at it, it's completely bunk. The crosstabs are a fucking mess. It's garbage. It's like he's doing bad with young people. It's just nonsense. It's actually completely out of line with everybody else. There was another poll this week where he's winning. But if you look at all the races, Iowa, Alaska, Ohio, Texas, they're doing bad. Like, I think we got the nose.
Okay, so what's
You're
the
right,
simple
I
math
do.
here? Democrats need a net gain of four Senate seats to regain control of the upper chamber in Congress. And right now, the math, simply put, isn't there for them. That is the picture. And I want you, it's just, you know, it's.
Why don't they have Maine up? Why isn't Maine up? What the fuck? Why don't they have Maine on this? What?
It's a math problem. It is a math problem. 2026 Senate poll margins. Okay, Democrats need a net gain of 4. Okay, you get 1 in North Carolina. But then you got.
They don't like to show Graham Plattner's polling average because he's winning. They don't like to show it because it's propaganda. So they'll keep it down so people get these. What they're trying to do is drive down Graham Plattner's approval with the liberals who watch mainstream media. So they're trying to create these narratives that he's losing so that he loses.
A bunch of red on the screen now. These are close races, but you got a tie in Texas. Then it's +2 in Iowa for the Republicans, +2 in Alaska, and then +3, if we can make the circle there, in Ohio. So that gets you 1 seat, but of course you need 4 seats. And on this board, red, 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 close races, and a tie. You're at 1. You're not yet to 4.
I mean, the good news for Democrats might be they're close in Texas, Iowa, Alaska, and Ohio. But again, it needs to be 4 of these that are blue in order for them to retake it. Now, there's one state that you did not put up here.
No.
That's Maine.
That is Maine. Maine, which we've had a few Senate polls the last couple of days. And what do you see here?
Notice how they're not doing a polling average. Notice how now they're changing apples to oranges. They're not doing a polling average. Wait a minute. Where's their polling average? Now they're just pulling out 2 polls. A Fox poll with every registered voter, and then a New York Times poll with likely voters showing Plattner up. Why are they doing apples to oranges?
That's Maine.
That is Maine. Maine, which we've had a few Senate polls the last couple of days. And what do you see here? Even in Maine, a state that Kamala Harris easily won back in 2024. Look, the New York Times has Plattner ahead by 2, but that, of course, is well within the margin of error. That is among likely voters. Fox News, on the other hand, has Susan Collins, the incumbent, up by 3 among all voters. So even in Maine, you have a race that, simply put, is way too close to call. So really, on the mathematical march to 4 seats.
I mean, I think that the polling is going to I'll be completely honest with you, Chad. I actually think the Dems might win every single one of these. The polling is underestimating the rage on the left, and I actually think it's overestimating the Republican participation. They're fucking depressed. The polling assumptions, they're wrong. I actually think the Democrats might win every single one. I think Graham Plattner is going to end up winning by 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. I think we're going to be laughing at this shit in November.
There's really only 1 seat at this point that Democrats can look like they can count on. They'll probably win one of these other seats. But again, that gets you only to 2, and you need 4.
Okay, first of all, that's not even how math works. He's such not a numbers guy. Okay, so every single one of these are within margin of error, right? Every single one of these are within margin of error. Now, leading is better than losing. That does matter, right? You can't just say anywhere within the margin of error is valid. Closer to the center of margin of error, there's more confidence, right? But the margin of error is a 95% confidence interval. So you're 95% sure that the results will be within the margin of error. Now, being ahead means you have an advantage according to the assumptions and the data the polling has. It's not the same. Like, being within the margin of error does not mean that that means that you could win. And it just means that you winning within that error would be within an expected outcome of the polling, right? See what I mean? That being said, being up by 2 in a polling, you would expect at least one of these to flip. At least one of these is probably going to be wrong based on the math, back of the envelope, looking at 3 polls with margins of error of, what was it? It doesn't even say. God, this guy is so bad at presenting data. I'd have to let me find this shit myself. Where the fuck is the data? Jesus fucking Christ. I fucking hate you. Does it even say? Where the hell is the margin of error data? Oh my God, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Jesus Christ. I could calculate it. I'm clipping this for the future. Yeah. I mean, listen, any prediction I make right now is very early. Like, if major world events happen, this could change. I have to calculate this, chat. Ugh. Margin of error calculator. Sorry, Ohio population. Ohio registered voter population. 8,956,901. Confidence interval of 95. Okay, 4%. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, I can actually do this now. All right, so Husted up 3. That would mean that Brown would win. Like, Brown is expected to win somewhere in the range of, like, at least 20% of the time. That would be considered normal. That would be considered within the, if we ran the election 100 times, he wins 20. Okay. So is he behind? Yes. Is he within striking distance? Absolutely. If any of the assumptions are wrong about their likely voter model, then Husted might actually not even be up. And I don't think he is. I think that Sherrod Brown has a very strong chance. Okay. So why am I going down this rabbit hole? Why am I explaining this shit? Because it's very important that you understand that these numbers are indicative of a situation where the Democrats are within striking distance in all of these red states. And if the assumptions that you and I are making about the anti-Trump backlash are correct, we may actually see all 6 go to the Democrats. And that's what I think is likely. I actually believe that if these polls are correct and the conditions are what I think, Democrats may win all 6 because it's going to be a fucking landslide because everyone hates Donald Trump. The other thing that's really exciting is young people are actually fired up because they see cool ass DSA people running for office. So a lot of really lame Democrats are going to have in their mind, like, they're going to have the, like, shine because Zoran exists. And then on the other side, the Republicans are depressed. The economy sucks. Gas prices are high. Nothing's getting better. Everybody knows the economy is not going great unless you bought AI stocks 2 years ago. The economy sucks for you. And that's the reality that we're living in. Although crypto is, hey, they make AK back. Oh, wait, never mind. Oh, no, they had a good day. Yeah. No, it spiked for some reason. It spiked for some reason today. It reached a new 52-week low, and then all of a sudden somebody bought a bunch of crypto to take it back above 60,000. I wonder what's going on there. You're also upset. It's wild. Who's upset? Who's upset about anything? We're winning.
Senate polls the last couple of days, and what do you see here? Even in Maine, a state that Kamala Harris easily won back in 2024. Look, the New York Times has Plattner ahead by 2, but that, of course, is well within the margin of error. That is among likely voters. Fox News, on the other hand, has Susan Collins, the incumbent, up by 3 among all voters. So even in Maine, you have a race that, simply put, is way too close to call. So really, on the mathematical march to 4 seats, there's really only 1 seat at this point that Democrats can look like they can count on. They'll probably win one of these other seats, but again, that gets you only to 2, and you need 4.
Yeah, you might think the Democrats would hope they look better given the war in Iran, given inflationary concerns. The question is their high water mark, or can they grow from here? They will need to grow. What are some of the reasons why they might be having a little bit of a harder time?
The real reason why they're having a little bit of a harder time is these are red states, right? With the exception of Maine, right? These were all states that Donald Trump won back in 2024. And look at this. The median in the 6 key Senate races, look at this. The generic Senate ballot lead for Republicans, look at that. In the median state is 6 points. And of course, the median right down the middle is what, 3.5, right? So you need to win states in which the generic Senate ballot lead is Republican plus 6, and then say the Dem Party is too far to the left. Look at this, 53%. So these are states that are just very hard to win because bottom line is what is holding them back is the fundamentals. And when you put it all together, Johnny B, and you look at the prediction markets, which I think really can sort of put this all together, chance to win the Senate. The Republican chances, as you noted, John, the environment is getting a little bit better for Republicans. On May 1, Republicans had a 51% chance to take back the Senate. Now it's a 59% chance. Look, Democrats have a shot here. There are seats on the table, but the fundamentals are against them. And that right now, they're only one of the seats where they need to be. The mathematical problem is there for Democrats at this point. They simply put have a statistical math problem.
All right. We will see what happens in the days to come, Harriet, and thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
I think this is actually a really Honestly, I hate to say it, but I think that I understand why things are priced this way. But I got to be honest with you. I think they're handing out dollars for 41 cents. You know, like, I think they're handing out dollars for 41 cents. The only problem is that since the Republicans hold the White House and therefore the vice presidency, Democrats have to win like an additional red seat, which is a bit tough. But it's going to be a fucking landslide against the Republicans. And here's the reality about all the right-wing policies. They're unpopular. You know what is popular? Zoran Mamdani and Democratic Socialism of America's policies. Affordable housing, penalizing landlords, raising taxes on corporations, new violence de-escalation programs and mental health teams instead of police, 2% tax on income over $1 million, cutting fines and fees for small businesses, raising taxes on corporations and millionaires, implementing free childcare for every child from 6 weeks to 5 years, freezing rent for lower income tenants, a network of city-owned, government-owned grocery stores focused on keeping prices low, 57%, raising the minimum wage to $30, and permanently eliminating the fares on public buses. Like every single policy that Zoran Mamdani advances is super popular. Are they counting Fetterman? Yes. Unfortunately, they are counting Fetterman to flip the Senate, which is another way of saying it's not flipped. But good news. In 2028, we can primary John Fetterman. In 2028, we have more pickup opportunities in the Senate. Even if they got absolutely everything they want, they will never be satisfied because they don't even know what they want. Fascism isn't about getting things. Fascism is 100% around vibes. There is nothing that they're trying to get, really. It's about making people you don't like suffer. Like, it's not about achieving anything. You know how everybody used to make fun of liberals because of hope and change? The essence of fascism is very similar, but it's an equal and opposite emotion. It is fear and pain. Instead of hope and change, it's fear and pain. That's what they promise to their enemy. But they're not like, actually, I really want to see this policy passed. They don't give a shit. They just want to see people they don't like suffering. And who is that? Well, whoever fascist daddy tells them. So since you're all here, chat, let's take it in. Let's enjoy it. Mike was right. Melat
Kiros will be speaking momentarily at her victory party tonight in Denver. The 29-year-old corporate attorney turned barista has defeated Democratic Congresswoman Diana DeGette, ending one of the longer careers in Democratic political history. DeGette held that seat for 15 terms and rarely had a challenger. This year, Melat Kiros pulled off what was long thought.
Chatter that made the website of all the districts. Chatter that made the website of all the districts. Please send me your website again. I promise I will bookmark it this time because I want to show you something, chat. We have literally dozens of targets. People in this chat right now could be in Congress. So that Denver district is D plus 55. I don't know how, we can't even go that much, but still see how there's 68 districts that are D plus 40 or bluer. We are literally crawling with opportunities. If you make it D plus 10 or bluer, it's 168. That's going off of 2024. If you go off of 2020, it's 176. There are 219 districts that are Democratic leaning. I can't. I'm a felon. Of course a felon can run for Congress. Of course they can. As long as you're not impeached. Let's say that all we want to do is run D plus 20. That's 142 DSA members. D plus 15, 162. Do you understand that right now we just did 3 in a week? 3 in a motherfucking week? We could have this happen every single primary day. There's 50 states. We could have 50 fucking weeks. Oh, no, there's not 50 separate primary days, but you get my point. Let us watch the speech.
To be impossible, and she has changed Denver's Democratic Party structure and
Why is it the Democratic Party through administrative means blocking the left of DSA candidates like Starmer did with Momentum and the left within Labor Party? I generally don't understand why they are allowing themselves to be usurped. If I were them, I would block left candidates through administrative means and end party democracy as it's a massive liability for capital. Am I stupid? No, you're not. Except there's a big problem. The party doesn't control the primaries. That's why we're doing entryism. We have a pseudo state party system where the state administers the primaries through administrative procedures. Those administrative procedures are open. The party registration and identification is open. There is no ideological test. There is no dues paid. All you have to do is fill the administrative requirements to get on the ballot for the primary, and then you can run and campaign to the voters, and then the person who gets the majority of the votes or the plurality of the votes in the primary wins the party nomination and is on the ballot for the party in November. And this is according to law. So the party has no ability to displace someone off the ballot unless they voluntarily withdraw. So they cannot stop us. And why is this true? Well, this is part of the progressive era reforms of the turn of the 20th century. Great question. Glad I can help explain what separates the US from Europe. In America, we have a very weak party system. The structure of our society of our electoral system creates a two-party pressure. And Democrats and Republicans have special status on the ballot. Third parties have to perform different activities to get back on because they don't have what's called major party status. Every state has slightly different rules, but there's something called major party status. And usually it's like getting 5% vote for a statewide office or a federal office like president or Senate, right? Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. So because no third party in America has major party status, they usually have to do something like get petitions that are 1% or 2% of all the voters who voted in the last election or there's a much higher bar to actually get on the ballot. And so they can't do anything. All they can do, there are institutions like the DNC, right? Which are party, functions and structures. And typically, it's connected to the president. And it's like a pseudo party apparatus. And they can like raise money from donors and they can do things like that. But right now, the DNC is in debt. None of the donors are giving to the DNC. And we don't have a Democratic president. If we had a Democratic president, they would have national authority and they could really put their thumb on the scale for centrist Democrats. But because we don't have a Democratic president, and because Barack Obama, thankfully, is more of a narcissist than he is an ideologue, he's not getting involved. So since Barack Obama is staying out because he doesn't want to take L's and he's not involved, and we don't have a president, and the institutions are bankrupted, that's why we're able to win. And so every time a European or somebody goes like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing Democrat shit, we're not platforming them. They're platforming us. We are eliminating the liberal off the ballot in November. If you were given the ability to literally prevent the liberal from showing up on the ballot in November, would you take that opportunity? I would. And that's what the primary does. The primary is eliminate the liberal off the ballot so no one can vote for it in November. Now, do you understand why we say this is a good idea? Now, if things change, if laws change, that could change, but that's the current conditions. So if you win the primary, and here's the other thing, the primaries are lower turnout affairs, which means our hyper motivated base of activists can actually win with the ideological voters are more powerful because they'll actually show up, whereas regular people are much less likely to show up in primaries. So not only do we have an advantage as far as the structure of the system, it just makes sense. Like the only question is, can you actually win the primary? And a lot of we've lost a lot of primaries. So a lot of people kind of said, oh, we can't win the primary, so we should start our own party, as if, as cope for why they got defeated. So like when somebody runs as a Democrat in the primary, it doesn't mean anything. You could literally run as a Republican and have all the DSA policy. There's theoretically, like you could be a DSA Republican. If you win the primary, you could be a DSA Republican. And and all that would mean is that you're on the Republican section of the ballot in November. There would be absolutely no policy positions you needed to have. The Republican Party couldn't throw you off the ballot. It wouldn't matter. You could be a Republican and you could win the Republican nomination. The only question is, do the people in the primary vote for you? You want to strike Mike was right at everything, but you want to ignore what he was wrong? When was I wrong? Mike said cat supporters are just gooners. No, I didn't. Kind of like you as streamers and chatters you don't like. Yeah, I don't have any power over other streamers. I'm not running Twitch. I could just tell my audience not to watch certain people and then they don't. That's social power, not like structural power. I could just be like, hey, don't watch Gremlo. That guy sucks. And then my chatters go, oh, why? And then I tell them why, and then they don't. That's not me having, that's social power. That's not actual power. And by the way, Kat Abu-Ghazaleh just messaged me this morning. So maybe pick someone else. And my criticisms of Kat are exactly why she lost. And I don't mean that as like I have ill will for her. I was trying to help her. I was trying to tell her, like, I saw the future, that the future was DSA. The future was unabashed pro-Palestinian language. The future was being integrated within that organization. She ran as a progressive, and then later she said she was DSA, but she didn't apply for the DSA endorsement. She didn't run her campaign through DSA. And that ultimately was the difference. I disagreed with some of her policies, and she changed her positions to come in my direction, which is why I endorsed her. I didn't endorse Kat because I got a boss call. I endorsed her because she changed her positions. And then I apologized for going too hard against her because I did regret it. And it was immature the way that I went so hard against her. I should have acted like a more mature person who has more power than I think. Strange how you don't say the anti-Z phrase as much. I wonder who could have motivated that. What do you mean? Like, both Kat and Kamala lost their campaign. Okay, here's the thing. Kat Abu-Ghazaleh did outstanding. I need you guys to understand this. Kat Abu-Ghazaleh is a very impressive woman, and she did an amazing job. Like, legitimately. Now, she made some minor mistakes that I saw, and I tried to counsel, but sometimes people think that you're being like, who the fuck am I? Why would you listen to me? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a streamer. Why should I listen to this guy? I turned out to be right, so hopefully that gives me more credibility in the future, right? I think Kat would have won had she run as a DSA candidate from the beginning. That's my opinion. And she was very close. And she took a sitting progressive politician who was a mayor of a city in the district down to the fucking wire. That's insanely impressive. She raised a ton of money. She got a bunch of attention. She is an incredibly impressive woman. Like, seriously, I actually really admire Kat. And I want to give her the space to come in our direction, right? Like, I'm not here to like shit on her forever. I disagreed with her on a couple things. She treated us with more respect than we deserve, to be honest with you. And I realized that I was going too hard. That's the world I want to live in. I want to live in a world where we can give each other grace. I'm not Gremlo. I'm not Brett, right? I want people to be able to grow and change and not feel like they're constantly under threat. You know what I mean? You know, like, I'm not cynicism, all right? It's not rules for thee and not for me. Everybody can grow and change. And I think one of the things that really frustrates me is, I don't know how else to put this, but narcissistic personality disorder is really damaging for your health. And if you find yourself unable to take accountability, if you're always explaining, you're always deflecting, you're always providing excuses, and you can never, ever sit with the fact that you fucked up, you need to get therapy. Like, legitimately. Self-reflect. Stop living in your narcissistic delusion. Like, like, take this as a wake-up call, please. It won't work because I've been otherized, that I've been created as some evil entity of darkness. So I can say all the right things and it doesn't matter, but I can still try. Why aren't party elites working to change this legislatively? Because they don't have the ability to do so. And it's a really bad look. So you're really asking, why aren't the parties eliminating elected primaries? I mean, I don't put it past them. They might try, but it's a really bad look. And it states like Pennsylvania, they can't do it without the cooperation of both parties. And I think like a politician going, I don't think you should be able to vote on primaries anymore. That's such a fringe position that it would actually, like, even for Republicans, I think they would dislike it. And remember, Donald Trump is a guy who came up because he won because of the primary system. If there was a party system, Donald Trump would never have existed. Donald Trump is a democratic reflection of the will of the Republican Party base. The Republican Party establishment hated Donald Trump, and they would have blocked him if they had the power. So I actually don't think there is I don't think there is the ability here, because it's law, and laws are not easily changed. As much as we talk about, you know, this is why being a mechanistic materialist is bad. You actually have to understand Marx. It's not just the base of the superstructure. The base of the superstructure feed into the structures of society like law. But law is not just infinitely mutable at will. There is a structure of that there are norms, there are ideas, there are, you know, social relations, there are expectations, there's all sorts of things that interplay within law that gives us opportunity. Does that make sense? So like they can't just go, oh, we're losing primaries, get rid of them. They may be talking about it. Like I wouldn't put it past them. I really wouldn't. You know, the primary system is not, etched in stone. It is plausible that they could get rid of it. But if they did, then a third party might actually happen, right? And that's what I've been arguing for, right? The more we win, the more the neoliberals and the structures of capital are losing power of the state. They're going to take more extreme actions that are going to create more contradictions. They're going to create more threat. They're going to create more like where normies can look at it and be pissed. And that's where a rupture could take place. So either we try to take over the Democratic Party or they do something so insane and out of left field that it causes a rupture. And as long as we're being attacked, the voters will come with us. If we're seen as being aggrieved, if we're seen as being the victim of unfairness, the voters will come with us. If we seem to be sabotaging our own side, then people are going to be pissed off. It's sort of like, for example, in World War II, the American people would not have liked it if we just declared war on Japan and Germany out of nowhere because it was the right thing to do. Pearl Harbor was really needed so that the Americans could feel like we were under attack and we were the victim, and so that they would be fired up and want to fight back. If we had just declared war on a war that didn't seemingly involve us, a lot of people would have been pissed and they would have resisted. But when we became the victim of an attack, we were able to marshal forces on our side, and the entire American people were behind it. I mean, people ripped up their America First membership cards after Pearl Harbor. So like, just think about things like that. Are unions anti-data center moratorium? It depends on the union, is the answer. Remember, chat, unions are instruments of class power, but they still have their own interests. So like, an auto workers union would probably be against banning cars. You know what I'm saying? The coal miners union would probably be against banning coal mining. You could sell it to Democrats by saying it blocks Trump, and you could sell it to Republicans by saying it blocks AOC. New York Times wealthy liberals and country club Republicans would treat this like drugs. Ezra Klein would fight for this, even if they tried to do that. They just hate Mike specifically, and they look for whatever justification they can find to say, see, Mike is bad. I mean, that's just, that is very true, but it is what it is. What do you want me to say? The difference is, like, I used to let people get away with it. Now I don't. I used to just be like, who cares what these like smaller streamers are saying? And then they got me banned. So I changed my mind. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start stamping this shit out now. If people are going to get me and Hasan banned for bad faith and try to get us called anti-black racists, which they do it to both of us, by the way, which is fucking insane, then I'm not going to tolerate that shit. I'm just not. I'm not going to let you get me called anti-Semitic. I mean, I get called anti-Semitic. Fran got attacked for going on my stream by these people, just like people get attacked for going on Hasan's stream. You and Hasan are still called that by streamers. Well, not by any streamer I'll ever interact with or support. Like, again, I'm not against being held accountable when I have a blind spot. I want you guys to be very clear. This is not me being prickly or fragile or whatever. Like, you're allowed to criticize me in good faith as a comrade, pointing stuff out that I make mistakes that I make, because I want us to be a welcoming community. But if the frame is going to be that I need to like flagellate myself and wear a dunce cap and stare in the corner and I'm omega racist forever because I'm a white man, we're just not going to, that's just not the space I want to live in. Call it selfish, if you will. There's a difference between me being harmful and me actually doing bad shit. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm sorry that we're even having this conversation, because we're having a good stream and people are trying to derail it with boring shit.
Colorado politics in doing so. Let's listen in.
Of all races, of all religions, sends a clear message. We will not wait.
What is the streamer drama and explainer intro rough cut? What the fuck is this? I'm not gonna play it now, but let me look at that. Okay, let's keep going.
We will not wait to take the fight to Donald Trump and the oligarchy. We will not wait. We will not wait to abolish ICE and pass Medicare for all. We will not wait to put an end to the politics of the past, to get big money out of our politics, and to reject corporate PACs and APAC. And no, we will not wait to end the genocide in Palestine. We believe that fundamental change can and will happen if we fight for it. If we organize and show no fear in standing up for what's right. That is the message that Denver has sent to both parties, to Donald Trump, and to the entire country. I want everyone in this room to take just a moment and look at the people.
Is that my soundboard? Do you think that I would add air horn soundboard? Am I Hasan? This is Zoomer shit. This is Zoomers, and even more sad, elder millennials who are trying to keep in touch with Zoomers and therefore do it on their cringe soundboard. Poor.
Around you, strangers to you just a year ago, just a few months ago. But tonight, together, you are all something else. Tonight,
wait, did Hasan take an air horn? Is that Hasan with an air horn?
You are proof. 1 year ago, a lot of experienced people told us this was impossible. They said you can't win without corporate PAC money. They said you can't beat a 30-year incumbent. They said the establishment and the oligarchy is just too big and too powerful to overcome. That's what they said. But 1 year, 6,500 volunteers, 1,115,000 doors, 500,000 calls later. You are the proof that the power of organized people beats the power of organized money.
What can you say, Chad? Isn't it beautiful?
I have to take a moment and thank every single one of you in this room, to every single person that has volunteered, that has supported this campaign, to Justice Democrats, to Denver DSA. To the Working Families Party, to Sunrise, to our incredible team, Matt Group, Rebecca, Howard, Susie, Ellis, Marissa, Lauren, Bill, Jackson, Jay, Ethan, Deep, Sarah, Casey, Michelle. To every single volunteer who knocked on a door, who made a phone call, who talked to your friend, who talked to your coworker, who talked to your neighbor, and made a choice to believe that a better world is possible if only we fight for it. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Congresswoman Diana DeGette. I am grateful for her service and her fight for reproductive freedom. She helped build the community that welcomed my family to this city and to this district, and I'll always be grateful for that. And I want to thank the one and only Senator Bernie Sanders for his support.
The air horn? The air horn? he making a smug face? I fucking knew it was him, chat. Look at this air horn. It was him, chat. It's him. There it is. There's his air horn. We knew it. That smug ass that's Oxygen. This is why I know it's my chat. I know it's my chat because you can't go along with the bit. Let's all pretend that we think it's Hasan with the air horn. Spread a little misinformation for fun. Like, what are we doing here? I lost my place. Fuck. Did the video finish and I'm on crack? What was I watching a Twitter video? Like, what is happening with my life? I'm actually, I think you closed it. Thank you, chatters. Jesus fucking. Why are you sending me Neil the Seal? Do you have any response to the milieu of ultra-leftists that unfavorably compare the DSA to the SRs or post-1917 SPD? Obviously, these examples are terrible comparisons, but I can see how unorganized polemic regurgitators reach for them. Well, the reality is that the conditions of the failed German Revolution are not at all similar to the U.S. There, they had a strong, organized communist movement and a social democratic group that was in power, but was compromised by bourgeois allegiances. And in order to protect their own power, which they had now in a revolutionary condition, then they sided with fascists as international revolutions were taking place. Social democrats since then have taken contrary positions to the SPD. The SPD was a specific constellation of factors that are not present in the United States. We do not have an organized communist movement. We do not have revolutionary conditions. We do not have a revolutionary liberation army invading from Mexico and Canada that is taking large swaths of the US. Maybe under different conditions, I would be the first person to denounce working with democratic socialists or whatever. But that's not the conditions we live in. We live in a situation of extremely low class awareness. So it's not a condition that is at all relative or relevant to what we're talking about today. I'm literally going to lose my mind. I have no idea what happened to the Melat speech. Like I don't know what's going on.
Across the country, across this state for inspiration, for solidarity. Tonight we saw wins down ballot. We saw Cello win. We saw Iris win. We are winning. She helped build the community that welcomed my family to this city and to this district, and I'll always be grateful for that.
The SPD already sided with fascists when it voted for war credits in 1914. The Freikorps was just a logical conclusion of that. Meanwhile, the DSA are the most outspoken anti-war voices in American politics. That's such a good point. If like DSA was Vosh or Dylan Burns, then I would agree with you guys. Like if they were arguing we got to expand NATO like Vosh and Dylan Burns do it. If they were progressive victory, then I would not support DSA. But DSA is anti-campist. It is about international solidarity. It is about a multi-tendency organization, including communists. So the idea that DSA or even these DSA politicians are in any way similar to the SPD is insane, because there is no communist party like there was in Germany. Most DSA people would probably not have been in that SPD, the one of 1917. And that's what people, you're talking about shit that is not relevant and is not a good interpretation or analysis.
And I want to thank the one and only Senator Bernie Sanders for his support. And to every single progressive running. And to every single progressive running for office in Colorado, across the country, across this state for inspiration, for solidarity. Tonight we saw wins down ballot. We saw Cello win. We saw Iris win. We are winning from coast to coast, from every level of office. We are taking back our party and our country. I want to tell you something about why this campaign matters. because it matters for what comes next. When I wrote a letter defending students' rights to protest the genocide in Gaza, my law firm told me, take it down or you're fired. I didn't flinch because I stood by every word, and I always will. But I know that will not be the only moment.
Okay, Gen Z, can we have a conversation real quick? Can you stop? I hate whenever a Gen Xer is like, we're an idiocracy. I don't like it. I hate that. But unironically, when a woman is giving an impassioned plea about how she gave up her job in order to stand up for Palestinian liberation, and then you add air horn noises like it's a birthday DJ, shut the fuck up.
Where those in power will tell me to change my tune, to not rock the boat. That seems to happen a lot in Congress. But here in Denver, we stand by our values, and we stand with our community. We are days away from embarking on the 250th anniversary of the founding of this country. I've been thinking a lot about what that means. The promise is made, the promise is unfulfilled, that this country belongs to everyone who loves it and what it stands for, not just the people born here, not just the people who look a certain way, but everyone who believes that democracy is worth defending, and that every person is deserving of dignity. To my incredible family, y'all hear them, right? To my parents, to my cousins, to my aunties, to my uncles, to my baby sister. I'm about the same age that my dad was when he came to this country, betting on the promise. He chose Denver to be our home because he knew that this city would welcome us. And that same city just voted to send a 29-year-old recovering lawyer, barista, immigrant, Democratic Socialist to Congress.
Let's fucking... Every time I'm starting to feel hyped, the air horn hits and I'm like...
Denver, the future is being written right now. Nothing is set in stone. We won tonight, but this is about something so much bigger than this moment, than one moment. This is a movement.
Democratic Socialist Melat Kiros headed to Congress to represent Denver, putting the political...
Why are you cutting it off? Where the fuck do you have to go?
...establishment on notice with her victory tonight, thanking Democratic Congresswoman Diana DeGette for her service, in particular for what she did to build the community that welcomed the Kiros family to Denver from Ethiopia when they moved here when Kiros was just a baby, when Diana DeGette was just starting her political...
Getting started. Thank you all so much. Thank you to my family. Thank you to every single person in this room. Thank you to Broadway. I am honored to be your voice in DC. Let's get to work.
You know what this could use, chat? It could use some sound effects.
The colonizer lied.
So chat, the new evidence is coming in that, and this was the Melat victory video.
Everybody wanted to know what would do if she didn't win. I guess we'll never step up the swamp to the motherfucking stage. Cut my mic off cause I'm about to misbehave. Will she ever lose, man? I guess we'll never know. Will she lose her cool? I guess we'll never. I hopped out the swamp, gave a bitch props. Where you been? Will she ever lose, man? I guess we'll never know. Guess we'll never know. Guess we'll never see the day that falls. Guess you'll never live to see the day that don't she loses. Don't she don't win on these, don't she mutants. Don't she don't critique or seek improvement. Right now is my time, my moment. Thank you to my swamp and thank you God I was broke. Stepped up the swamp to the motherfucking stage. My mic go cause I'm about to misbehave. Will she ever lose, man? I guess we'll never know. Everybody wanted to know what would do if she didn't win. I guess we'll never stepped up the swamp.
I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never fucking know. What is this?
It's like a soundboard. Go fuck yourself.
So say, fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Yes, that's good. Okay.
Your soundboard is correct. Was that Nicki Minaj? No, guys. No, it's not. It's not MAGA Nicki. Jesus Christ. 30 years in office.
You are fundamentally not going to agree with me on this because you think
that Palestinians deserve to live. Thank you very much.
No, ma'am, that's not it. Did you? Hi.
Yes, I did record it.
Okay.
Here I am. Hi, Diana. I'm Nicole Shea.
Hi, Nicole.
I am a delegate in Denver. I'm in 5 points.
Okay. Great.
Like you, I really consider myself a women's rights activist. I appreciate the work you've done. I'm just wondering, why do you keep sending money for bombs that Israel is sending to Palestine?
So actually most people think that Israel should be able to defend itself with the Iron Dome. And that's what I'm talking about. But so
defending themselves is different than continuing the genocide in Palestine.
Correct.
You're talking about different subjects, and I'm trying to ask you about the Block the Bombs Act.
Okay, I'll tell you about the Block the Bombs Act. I've read the Block the Bombs Act. The Block the Bombs Act is a very poorly written piece of legislation because it's both too narrow and it's too broad.
So why haven't you introduced amendments?
Can I finish? I can't introduce amendments because it hasn't been brought up.
Why are you sending money to Israel to commit a genocide in Palestine?
If the only issue that you care about is this issue, then you should not vote for me.
Okay. 15 terms. 15 motherfucking terms. And everybody said, bye-bye, bye-bye. Now, if you remember, chat, I made a prediction. My prediction was that Melat would win by at least 10. I think my final prediction was 10 to 15%. It looks like, chat, ladies and gentlemen, everybody is coming around to it. Another election guy blocked me. I don't know why all these election guys hate my guts so much. These numbers guys. I think I blocked by like every single one of the election. I guess because I bully them too much for being wrong. I bully them too much for being wrong. But this guy, Melat, Elections Joe, said Melat will very likely win by more than 10. An incredible performance. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, she might actually win by 15 because they just reduced the expectation. Or I'm sorry, of the total count down to 80% from 91. They think there's more votes outstanding. The DSA victory party for Melat in Colorado tonight is another reminder of how racist and not diverse the DSA actually is. Facts don't care about your feelings. Melat did best in the communities of color. These are traditional Hispanic communities in the west side of Denver. Went for Melat by over 80%. I'm sorry. Yeah, went for Melat by over 80%. So the voters, Hispanic voters, went overwhelmingly for Melat. So I think my prediction actually might be wrong. I think my prediction might actually be wrong. I think she might win by more than 15. Also, I think Julie Gonzalez will get what I think the election will continue to narrow, but she is going to come up short because she was not DSA. So Hickenlooper is going to have a close shave. We could have won that race. Will we know who wins tonight? I think Colorado has some mail-in voting, right? But I think they should have it all counted before the polls close. I think we should have a good sense. And I also think we'll know by tonight because she'll be winning by so much. When the polls close, and the first big drop will be somewhere around 4 to 6 points, and then it'll rise up to 10 plus after all the votes are counted. Will we know who wins tonight? I mean, there's another version of this which is even better that Jules made, which just absolutely 100% nailed it beyond belief. Oh my God, there's so many posts. This is the better one, I think. Will we know who wins tonight? I think Colorado has some mail-in voting, right? But I think they should have it all counted before the polls close. I think we should have a good sense. And I also think we'll know by tonight because she'll be winning by so much. When the polls close, and the first big drop will be somewhere around 4 to 6 points, and then it'll rise up to 10 plus after all the votes are counted. Will we know who wins tonight? And then you can see the early drop. I think I ended up saying 10 to 15 at some point. So this clip doesn't have it, but I think she might actually overperform. She might actually overperform 15. And I was, again, it's just like Claire Valdez. I'm saying they're going to do way better, and then they do even better than I thought. I'm out here on the flank saying how much better they're going to do, and they're going to outperform even my prediction. I think Melat's going to win by at least 10, and I think Gonzalez is going to go down to the wire. And all of us are going to be like, why did we do more for Gonzalez? We could have won. That's exactly what's going to happen. I think Melat's got it by at least 10. That being said, is there any polling? She's up 5 in the polls. Oh God. Okay, she's going to win by at least 15 then. But again, you run through the tape, chat. I think Melat's going to win by at least 10, and I think there you go. That's how I feel. And if you've been paying attention, and here's the, if you look at the races, oh God, why is everything so hard to find in this shit fucking horrible? There we go. If you look at Hickenlooper, it's narrowing. Gonzalez is now up 6 in Denver, and they moved down the percent chance. So she's got at least another, probably, I'd say 20,000 votes net out of Denver when it's all said and done. So obviously she's not going to be able to catch. God, if she actually ran a DSA campaign, she would have won. She got carried so hard by Melat in Denver. So everywhere Melat wasn't, she did terrible. Karnacki looks skeptical when Decision Desk called it last night. Show me the clip immediately. Oh my God, the kiss of Hutch! The kiss of Hutch! It never stops! Oh my God, she went on Hutch instead of Hasan. That tells you why she lost. Legitimately. She went on Hutch instead of Hasan. That's why she got fucking owned. As of now, I have Kiros on track to win by about 14 points and Hickenlooper by roughly 6 to 7. Denver saw a sizable turnout surge yesterday, especially among younger voters, leaving a lot of progressive leading vote outstanding in Denver and across the state. Not going all out against Hickenlooper was a big mistake. Gonzalez did it to herself. Obviously, I wish that she was trying to do this dumbass shit where she's like, I'm not DSA. It's also a mistake that Graham Plattner made. And it's a mistake that Abdul El Sayed is making, which is they're not moving their movement through DSA, and therefore they're fucking they're missing out on a massive opportunity. They should have aligned with us. She went on Hasan's stream. Ah, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. But she wasn't a Hasan. You're right. I remember now. But her problem was, she's not DSA. You're right. She did. But she wasn't DSA. And therefore, she underperformed Melat. Julie had too much integrity about not being DSA. She said on Hasan's stream that her membership lapsed and she wasn't active, so she didn't want to claim to be Democratic Socialist and whatnot. She backed out of the IRL event with Hasan and Melat. Imagine being Julie Gonzalez and thinking you're outperforming Melat. Like honestly, that shows you how bad these DC consultants really are. Hey, that's exactly what I said. Hey, Jules, send me these clips. I'm gonna post them on my channel as well. I love retweeting you, but like you don't have quite the motion, even with my retweet. People get mad when I call it perfectly. I heard there was drama with her campaign. Hasan didn't phone back for her because she was a DSA. I mean, listen, you know what I told you guys about campaigns? A good campaign can move your number about 7%. She's going to end up being down 6 to 7%. She could have won. She could have won. She didn't want to run as a socialist, and there you have it. I mean, not even winning Pueblo. Like, how did she lose? Like, how did she lose Colorado Springs? Like, embarrassing, bro. And like, listen, I don't have any. I'm sure she's great, and I would have been happy if she won. But like, what a mistake. To be fair, when Platter and Abdul started, DSA was nowhere close to the movement it evolved into now, but it will be for the best DSA needed for Fran and Oliver elected. Karnacki tried to say shit she lost. Okay, send me the Karnacki video, please. Can you send me the Karnacki video, please? I need the Karnacki video. I need to debunk this shit. He's not a numbers guy. Do you think she should run at 28? Maybe. No, this is just...
Hank B from Colorado says, hey, Steve, I'm a big numbers guy. What kind of lead would it take to call District 1? Oh, okay. So let's pick up right where we left off. Well, I can't give you the exact answer to that because I'm not the decision desk. But what the decision desk has told us, and if you were watching, you might have seen this earlier from Adam Naboa relaying an update that they wanted to see more vote. They were talking about seeing more than 80% of the vote. Thank you, Hank B, for the question.
Like, by the way, it should have been called here. It should have been called here. Like, what a joke. Much respect to Steve Karnacki. But he just said Gonzalez's loss to Hickenlooper was a test of how much appetite there was for a DSA candidate statewide because she was a former member with similar stances. Pundits are missing the mark by glossing over DSA's organizing power. She specifically distanced herself from DSA. It's not just like Kamala Harris distancing herself from the left to run with fucking neocons. That means she's not left because all the power of being left is the energy we bring. It is the organization we bring. So if you say, I'm not going to support your org and I'm not going to have your policies, we don't keep liking you. We say, okay, because we're ideological. So if you distance yourself from our ideology, then you don't get our help. Maybe we'll vote for you, lesser of two evils voting, but you're not going to get the 100,000 fucking phone calls.
DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America. Okay, here's just a sample of what they're about. Abolish the Electoral College, replace the two-party system with a multi-party democracy. Implement proportional representation and ranked choice voting in all elections. Establish public ownership of the largest corporations and essential industries to ensure democratic control and accountability to the people. End all military and economic aid to Israel. It sounds so...
Isn't it fun to have my mutuals? Isn't it fun that my mutuals are going to Congress? How many of my mutuals are we sending to Congress now? I may have tweeted a lot last night, chat. Oh, I also tweeted this. Live reaction from Melat's victory party. Melat. God, I'm so bad with names. That's what they're scared of, chat. All right, somebody, thank you for timestamping. Holy shit.
The positions she had previously taken. So really, this was a test here.
Look at how much this race is narrowed, by the way. Gonzalez has narrowed it to within double digits. It's going to end up probably at 5-6% or 6 or 7%. So, you know, the night of, you see these big 60% lead, it's going to drop significantly.
Democratic primary, a statewide Democratic primary. This was a test of how much appetite there was for a candidate, a Democratic Socialists of America candidate. That is essentially what Gonzalez was. Currently, she's running at 42% against Hickenlooper. And again, if you're measuring it versus 2020, if she's going to land here in the mid-40s, ultimately, that would not be surprising at all. You can decide for yourself if this thing were to be.
Why not push her? Blah 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 blah. I am not the liberal, generous guy. I'm not the guy that's going to be like, yes, you can backstab us and shit talk us and then we're going to rescue you guy. That's like other people. My position is, are you Democratic Socialist? If you are, I will fight for you as hard as I can. If you're not, fuck you. I've got other people to help. Yeah, we saw that, Space Dad.
56-44, if that were to end up somewhere like that for Hickenlooper, what would that say?
It's not 56-44. It's 55-45, and it's going to be narrowing. It's going to probably be 53-47. He is very weak, and he would have lost from a big push.
That to you, but those are the dynamics that people are going to try to be discussing after this one. Go back to the governor's race. I keep reading the G as a 6. That is what is happening. Back to the governor's race here, and again. The other senator, the state's other Democratic senator, Michael Bennet here in big trouble in this primary. And I think we were just starting to say the big problem for him, besides the fact he's down, is
that makes no sense because Abdul and Graham aren't DSA. The difference is they've leaned in. Well, I mean, Graham Plattner is allied with people that I'm allied with, and then Abdul is a Bernie guy who had his own stature. He's not relying on us to prop him up. He had his own stature, right? So that's different. And Graham Plattner won the primary. Whereas, he didn't need us to win the primary. So, it's a different thing. I'm supporting him because he's better than Susan Collins, right? Julie Gonzalez couldn't win the primary. So, and the reason why we weren't behind her is because she didn't want us to be. I mean, it's just that simple. If you want my help, you have to say I'm good. I'm not a fucking martyr up here. I'm not gonna let you stab me in the back and pretend and be like I'm not gonna be the date that you're ashamed to show your friends. I have self-respect.
The places that have the most votes in a Democratic primary, they are Weiser blue here. Denver, an absolute blowout here for Weiser over Bennett. And if that late counted vote, we're talking about it in the House race, we're talking about it in the Senate race, if that late counted vote is friendly to Weiser and not Bennett, and I think there's a lot of reasons to expect it would be, this could get worse for Bennett. This could get better for Weiser in this gigantic county. We've yet to hear anything from Adams County. Explosive growth in Adams County. It's becoming a bigger and bigger piece of the puzzle in each party's statewide primary with every election. Yet to hear anything there. But again, just looking at that Weiser blue around there, if that one fills in for him, he's going to be feeling extra good about his position here. And again, I think the interesting thing here, Weiser tried to establish himself to the left of Bennett, sort of as a progressive, but it's also that element.
Weiser is like a progressive-ish. I think he's friendly with David Sirota.
Of running against the sort of the Washington wing of the Democratic Party. Bennett had been there for a while, in the Senate, and Weiser was trying to turn that against him. When every time we take an NBC News poll, we talk about the very low favorability numbers for the Democratic Party, and that one of the reasons for that is that Democrats themselves are expressing a very low opinion of their own party and their party's national leadership. That's one of the things that Weiser was trying to connect with here against Bennett, and certainly indications that he may have succeeded in doing that. 8th District here, again, we just have, this is to find out who the Democrats will nominate in one of the most closely watched congressional races this fall, which again, we just have Weld County in right here. There's a very good number if you're Rootenell, but we're waiting on Adams County. So in the governor's race there, we're waiting on Adams County. In this congressional race, we're waiting on Adams County. Byrd's going to need to turn it around there in a big way. Does have a political base there, but so does Rootenell. But we're waiting on that.
There's a lot of these progressives that I don't care about.
Republican gubernatorial primary, this one, We started to talk about this. So Barb Kirkmeyer is a state legislator. She nearly got elected to Congress in that 8th district a couple of years ago, lost a very narrow race in 2022. Didn't go for a rematch in 2024. Turns out she might have won if she did. Instead, she decided to run for governor. She has the conventional endorsements I think you'd expect from sort of, party luminaries who are there in Colorado. There still are some of those on the Republican side.
The more discussion goes on, the more vindicated I feel by that she pushed DSA away, so she lost stakes. She ran scared for the label of socialist and lost, so it's simple at this point. Here's the thing. Voters can detect vibes. Voters are vibe detectors. If you're looking like you're caught, if you're looking like you're guilty, if you're looking ashamed of yourself, you're gonna fucking lose. So if you try to go, I used to be a socialist, but now I'm not, that makes you look like a fucking fraud. Either you're dumb and you can't defend your positions, or you're lying. So it makes everybody think that you are a dishonest loser. And so they dislike it. It's much better to be like, yes, I'm DSA, just like Bernie Sanders. Because Bernie Sanders won Colorado in a landslide. So why are you acting caught in a Democratic primary for Bernie Sanders? Just lean up and say, I'm a Democratic socialist in the Bernie Sanders school. If that's the type of politics you want, that's different from the DC Dems, and you fucking run on it. You don't be a fucking coward. You just run. People know who Bernie is. They know who Zoran is. Stop being a coward, and people will actually show up for you. But it stems from a lot of dumb shit. DC consultant brain, narcissism, being out of touch, having a higher opinion of yourself than people actually do. Like, not being a grandiose narcissist is such an advantage. It's crazy. If people are going to call you socialist, then just be socialist. Go, yes, and. Donald Trump is the president. Stop wringing your fucking hands. Does anyone have a clip that's not broken and not from this right-wing dipshit who's a destiny orbiter? Like, why the fuck are you linking me shit like this? Like, fuck you.
She has, again, as a candidate who nearly won a swing district, she's tried to create an image as a political moderate, a political centrist. Her opponents, however, Victor Marx has made a series of explosive, inflammatory claims here about his own biography. How do you say? He said that when he was 7 years old, he said, without providing details, that his stepfather had made him kill another man. He talked about, he again alluded to having killed others around the world under circumstances that he didn't. Victor Marx is running 4 points behind Kirkmeyer right now. The dynamics here are interesting. And Scott Bottoms, a state legislator here, also a pastor. Bottoms' base is El Paso County, Colorado Springs.
Republicans are fascists, so they want the guy who's the most fascist. Remember how I told you fascism is blood and soil for your, nationalism? I want to hurt my enemies. The guy who kills people is what Republicans want. That's what they want in their heart of hearts. Now, chat, I saw something that is so fucking insane. I have to point it out to you. And Hasan, can you please get a restraining order? Like, this is, at this point, he needs to get a restraining order. Destiny is having his 80th meltdown on Hasan, but it's very weird and promising to commit crimes. He said he was going to openly dox and infinitely harass every single person online. Point to me the next journalist that gives him a softball interview, and I will dedicate my entire fan base and weeks of my time to emailing, tweeting, spamming this person off the internet. Actually, I'm sick and tired of people like Hasan the Hun getting a free pass by Twitch and Dan Clancy. Bro, Dan Clancy hates you. Why are you tweeting at Dan Clancy? He said, what are you? Do you want to make Hasan never get banned? Like, what do you want me to say? Of course he hates you. Like, what are you doing? It's so funny that he thinks that these people are orbiters of his who rely on him. Nobody relies on you, you fucking freak. To openly dox and infinitely harass every single person online that they deem to be unworthy or inferior to them. Every single person who continues to platform this creepy fuck was... Bro, you're currently about to lose a case for sex crimes. Is responsible for him and the disgusting cultish fan base of freaks and abusers that he openly supports and gives credit to. Also, fuck every single streamer who collaborates with this abusive piece of shit who is too fucking scared or obsessed with their own clout to ever call him out for him. Besides XQC and Asmongold, I'm not sure I've seen a single other creator in the space. XQC collaborated with Trump, and Asmongold is a Nazi. And Destiny is propping them up. I told you guys, does anybody have the clip of me telling you that by 2028, Destiny will be voting Republican? That is like my ultimate prediction. And when it comes true, we are going to laugh at him because I know you better than yourself, you pathetic fucking powerless loser. He recently streamed with Bad and Panada. I told you. Oh my God, I predicted it so perfectly. Oh my God, that's so funny. If I believe you, chatter, I don't even need to see proof. Federal operative Bad and Panada. God, that is so funny. Destiny groping Hasan for 15 minutes.
Pussy, just fucking be a man about it.
Oh my God, dude, he's so fucking weird, man. I can't watch that. I can't watch like creepy like shit like that. I can't. I'm not sure I've ever seen another creator in this space who has the actual integrity to say literally anything about him. It's just infinite capitulation for people like Pokimane. If I were Hasan, I would be suing Destiny. Like if I were Hasan, I would sue Destiny. And I would also get restraining orders because at a certain point, like it's never going to get better. The guy's unwell. And if you're going to wait for him to show up with a gun or something, like I like honest to God, Destiny needs to be put into like he's a criminal, dude.
And last one, just to throw him in here. Because why not?
Hasan reacted to it yesterday.
Oh, also a coalition of some of the most fed code.
Somebody is going to die soon in this space, I'm pretty sure. Just a heads up, I'm going to be doing mass harassment campaigns on every single journalist who gives this guy free interviews from now on. We need to get this guy deplatformed from everything. I mean, even Kick. Is Kick okay with this? I mean, I guess they're okay with it because the target is Hasan, right? But like, they're harassing journalists. Do you think lawyers should be involved? Lawyers should have been involved 5 years ago, man. Like, Hasan is wrong to not, you know, like he should pursue a restraining order, like unironically, and start getting the process of criminal charges and stalking and things like going. Like, I'm not kidding. And like, I disagree with Hasan for not doing that. It's his right, but like, I really wish he would, you know, I really wish he would. I honestly think you could justify attacking, killing Hasan IRL for statements like this. Again, Destiny is a guy who said that Black Lives Matter protesters should be mowed down by white redneck militias. He laughed at Gazan civilians who were murdered by Israeli forces in front of British media, carrying white flags. He said they were farming TikTok clips. He told the IDF soldiers when they're committing war crimes to not post it on social media. Quote, have fun, but don't post that shit. He says he supports genocide of Palestinians, that Israel should use force and Palestinians should, quote, go live someplace else. He said that he wants me to kill myself and Hasan to kill himself. This guy is fucking weird. Also, he mocked the little girls who died in the Texas floods. I mean, there's so many things. He mocked the guy who was killed at the Trump rally. If this guy wasn't a Zionist, he'd be in prison. Is there any journalist you could say this like Taylor? Like, I know, like, you know what, chat? Like, he's legitimately fucking weird, dude. Can you message him because Hasan won't listen to us? Bro, it's, do you think I'm the only one who has this opinion? I'm not even really worried. Like, there's only really some, like, one or two communities that I think are actually a legitimate threat. And it's not because they have an emotion. It's because they have a very small cult and, like, they're mentally ill and they're delusional. YouTube link of me, representation, Denver. I got you, brother. I got you, brother. Calm down. I saw the link. You don't have to post it anymore.
Forces are finally gathering together. Our haters are anemic.
This to me is more evidence that BE is an op, like a paid op, than anything. Because before, you could have argued, before this collaboration, you could have argued that Bad and Panada is actually more principled than us and he just doesn't believe in doing politics. And he's out there trying to pressure us from the left or some other delusion. But this right here is the desperate gasp of a dying man. And I've said this before. I'm sure clips of me explain. I need you guys to understand the Hasan drama cycle. Okay? The Hasan drama cycle is you start fighting with Hasan. Maybe you're envious. Maybe you have a bad take and you don't know anything about politics. Some of his fan base starts calling you out. Something like that causes someone to start fighting with Hasan. The problem is Hasan and myself, we are ideological left-wingers, which means my takes are not takes from Mike, okay? My takes are the legitimate position of the left, okay? Which means a bunch of non-aligned people with me would hear what I'm saying and agree because of the ideological arguments I am making. I am not saying shit out of my ass. It is a well-founded position that is in line with the working class, left-wing, democratic socialist movement. So my positions will always have backup. Assad's positions will always have backup. When we took our position as pro-Palestine on October 7th, I was just reaffirming a position I had made on my stream for 5 years at that point. It wasn't a new one. I was having a principal position that I had built up and is part of a larger movement, okay? So when you fight with me on that, ultimately you're going to end up at odds with the movement, not just me or not just Hasan. And so what happens? Why am I saying this? Because you get into a drama cycle with Hasan, and then you get a bunch of Hasan haters to stream into your stream. So you see a big rise and your numbers go up. Your numbers go up because your audience at that point is still loyal to you. And then you get a bunch of the drama hate, all the Hasan drama guys come into your channel and they start polluting it. And then a bunch of your regular viewers, they go, I kind of agree with what Hasan is saying. And they start to naively post like, hey, I think Hasan is right about like Gaza. I don't think that Ethan is right about his position. I just think that Hasan is actually telling him that he will be alienating a lot of his viewers if he has this position. And then what happens is Destiny's brigaders, they rush into the comments and they scream and yell at you about how you're an anti-Semite or whatever. And they dogpile. They're tourists in the community. And they battle with the people that are actually from that community. And then what happens? Those people slowly start to leave. So you become a sock puppet for the anti-Hasan haters. And your numbers, they have that initial boost. And then your real viewers start to leave, right? But you still have a boost net because you got the drama guys and they still see you as useful. But as your viewers start to depart, everybody who's ideologically consistent or left-wing or objective, they all start to leave. And then before you know it, your community is starting to dip to where it was before the drama. So you decide to make one of your old videos and it performs horribly because the Hasan drama people are not there anymore. They don't give a shit about your regular content and all your regular fans left. So your new content does fucking terrible. So out of desperation, you post another Hasan drama video and then you get the haters come back. The video performs decently, back in line with what you used to do. And then you are at a crossroads. Do you try to accept that you made a major mistake and you were totally wrong and you've alienated your own community? Or do you double and triple down on the Hasan hate? And if you double and triple down on the Hasan hate, where do you end up? You end up as a Destiny orbiter. The problem is Destiny doesn't like anybody who disagrees with him. So eventually he's stupid. That's the other thing you got to know. Destiny doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about and he's very stupid. So eventually you will disagree with him and you will be like, no, that's wrong. Kyle Rittenhouse isn't justified or whatever, right? Or actually Black Lives Matter shouldn't be mowed down by white redneck militias. And then he'll go nuclear on you just like he always does because he has a cult. He can't allow any dissent. And then you're thrown out. That's what I like to call the Pisco situation, right? So your career is now just in the dumps. It's garbage. All you have is the leavings of Destiny. You are no longer considered a serious person. You are a pathetic loser. And you fell into the drama algorithm. And that's Bad Empanada now. Who likes Bad Empanada now? Literal nobody.
Our haters must be anemic, but they are doing their very best. The real horseshoe has been unlocked. Joining forces off of their mutual and shared enmity towards a political content creator. It seems to me like
because we support electing, they hate us because we support electing pro-Palestinian reps to American government, Muslim men and women. refugees. So they both hate us.
Haters still want to maintain being waiters at the table of success. That's right. Never thought I would see the day when a far left,
He's not even left. He said he's not left.
Someone who considers themselves to be a far left doxer and a center right liberal groiper doxer. You know, we got the third worldist doxers, third worldist groiper doxers, and we got the DNC groiper doxers coming together to dox into oblivion. Fantastic. Level 7 hype train, ladies and gentlemen. Lofi Dude, thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
Bad Empanada is just a more pathetic version of Destiny, right? Like, they're very similar, but he's actually the more pathetic version.
Destiny pretend to be Epstein, pretend to be a huge electoralist, yes, but he has decided that electoralism is a bad route because remember, the only thing driving him is his enmity towards me. And now that I'm participating in elections as aggressively as I can, as hands-on as I can, he's decided the only route available to him is to sit at home and shit on those efforts. Okay? That's all they got. CMOC, Benny Scrap, thank you for the 10. Level 7 hype train complete. Soy Chorizo, thank you for the 5. Olives and Oil, thank you for the 5.
Well, there you go. Hutch is saying DSA is blah, blah, blah. Well, we're just going to keep taking out Democrats. Remember, chat. Remember the numbers, right? All of our positions are popular, especially with Democrats. The vast majority of Democrat-held seats are safe Democratic. We could easily win 150 seats with DSA candidates. Okay, we don't have to put Mike was right. Everyone Malds over Hasan. And like Hutch is actually too like the thing about Hutch, and this is legitimately a point, which is Hutch cannot actually explain any of his arguments. He only speaks in generalities. He doesn't make concrete predictions. He doesn't actually argue on any specific point. He's actually subhumanly stupid. And you have to be a certain type. Again, the only people watching him are Destiny, or he's a Destiny orbiter. They hate Hasan. Therefore, anything Hasan likes is bad. They don't actually make points. If you're a female content creator, Destiny will sexually exploit you. I mean, he'll try.
Kiros wants to upend our way of life, replace that with what, a Soviet-style socialist, system. Step 1, getting rid of ICE. Step 2, making all illegal immigrants citizens. Take a look.
What's your vision for abolishing ICE?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that we abolish ICE. This is an agency that started in 2003. We had immigration enforcement before ICE existed. We'll have it after it exists. But the thing that I don't think we talk enough about is also what that reform is going to look like. Abolishing ICE is just one step, right? Democrats have been in power multiple times over the last few decades and did nothing to address the immigration reform that we actually
ICE
need.
Expenditures, increased spending.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think there has to be an immediate pathway for every single undocumented immigrant that's here in this country today.
Now, you might have noticed that many of these socialist lunatics are kissing the ring of a guy by the name of Hasan Piker. Now, this is a rich kid turned socialist podcaster who loves communist China, communist Cuba, but seems to not like the USA. In fact, he once proclaimed that we, the U.S., deserved the 9/11 terror attacks. And sadly, Melat Kiros seems to agree with this. Take a look.
Was 9/11 an inevitable consequence for America based on U.S. foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response.
Now, there is one thing that these communists hate more than America, and that is the world's only Jewish state. That, of course, would be Israel. In fact, Kiros was fired from her job as a corporate attorney due to an obsessive public hatred for Israel. And apparently she thinks, quote, the Jews of Israel had it coming on October 7th, when thousands of innocent men, women, and children, they were murdered, they were kidnapped, some were beheaded and abducted. Take a look at this.
I mean, the thing about this is, like, if they cared about human beings being killed and murdered and beheaded and all these other things, that would be one thing. But they're absolutely fine when Israel does it by 100 times. So stop using these arguments like you care. You don't. But they don't want to make the actual argument, which is they support Jewish supremacy in the Holy Land. They want to see the indigenous population exterminated for Western settlers so that they can create Armageddon or whatever the fuck. Because if everybody heard what they actually want, nobody would support it. Who's sane?
After October 7th, it felt like there were very different responses to what had happened. And
please rewind. You said these candidates are kissing the ring. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to restart, chat. Sorry.
Now, Melat Kiros wants to upend our way of life, replace that with what, a Soviet-style socialist, system. Step one, getting rid of ICE. Step two, making all illegal immigrants citizens. Take a look.
What's your vision for abolishing ICE?
yeah, I mean, it's just that we abolish ICE. This is an agency that started in 2003. We had immigration enforcement before ICE existed. We'll have it after it exists. But the thing that I don't think we talk enough about is also what that reform is going to look like. Abolishing ICE is just one step, right? Democrats have been in power multiple times over the last few decades and did nothing to address the immigration reform that we actually need.
Expenditures, increased spending.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think there has to be an immediate pathway for every single undocumented immigrant that's here in this country today.
Now, you might have noticed that many of these socialist lunatics are kissing the ring of a guy by the name of Hasan Piker. Now, this is a rich kid turned socialist podcaster who loves communist China, communist Cuba, but seems to not like the USA. In fact, he once proclaimed that we, the U.S., deserved the 9/11 terror attacks. And sadly, Melat Kiros seems to agree with this. Take a look.
Was 9/11 an inevitable consequence for America based on U.S. foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response.
Now, there is one thing that these communists hate more than America, and that is the world's only Jewish state.
There is already a Jewish state. It's called New York. Okay? We don't need to go and exterminate a bunch of indigenous population. By the way, that's a joke. Because New York City has Zohran Mamdani as mayor, and he won the Jewish vote. Jewish people are not under threat. Remember all the fear-mongering they said about Zohran Mamdani? How he was going to lead to Sharia law, and the Jewish people were going to be unsafe, and murders were going to be murder. This is the way they... This is the way they said that New York City was going to be during Zohran Mamdani's reign.
Some political watchers are saying this could be the nastiest, most negative election season of all time.
This campaign season seems like
is not possible.
John Adams is a blind, bald, crippled, toothless man who wants to start a war with France. While he's not busy importing mistresses from Europe, he's trying to marry one of his sons to a daughter of King George. Haven't we had enough monarchy in America?
I'm Thomas Jefferson, and I approve this message because John Adams is a hideous, hermaphroditical character with neither the force and firmness of a man nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman.
If Thomas Jefferson wins, murder, robbery, rape, adultery, and incest will be openly taught and practiced. The air will be rent with the cries of the distressed. The soil will be soaked with blood and the nation black with crimes. Are you prepared to see your dwellings in flames, female chastity violated, children writhing on a pike?
I'm John Adams, and I approve this message because Jefferson is the son of a half-breed Indian squaw raised on hoe cakes, and Hamilton is a Creole bastard brat of a Scotch peddler.
The nastiest, most negative election.
So that's about what they predicted would happen if Zohran Mamdani was elected. And it turned out to be, let's just say, incorrect. Everything was fine. But now, in fact, it's been outstanding if you're a New Yorker. Budget balanced. Police head count flat. Free childcare. Rent frozen. Streets cleaned. Violence crime rate lowest it's ever been. The only promise that is outstanding for Zohran Mamdani is getting the buses to be free. Because guess what? They're installing all sorts of new bus lanes in order to make the buses fast as fuck. So the only question is, will he be able to get a little bit of extra funding from New York State to make the buses free? And it's only been 7 months. I'm sorry, 6 months. It's only been 6 months since Zoran Mamdani's inauguration.
Of course, would be Israel. In fact, Kiros was fired from her job.
Mamdani's installing a bus line on the line I ride. I'm literally soaking wet from sweat from this heat wave. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Chad, if you're in New York City, there's going to be some cooling buses that are going around the city. They also have free food, halal and kosher meals available. So if you're in New York City, there's going to be some cooling buses for the heat wave. Let me see if I can find it.
Beginning tomorrow, New York City will enter a heat emergency that will last through the 4th of July weekend. Temperatures will climb into the high 90s and triple digits. With humidity, it will feel even hotter, with a heat index that could peak around 112 degrees. If the forecast holds, this could be the hottest 4th of July since 2010. These are extremely dangerous conditions, and they will affect every part of our city. To prepare, I have activated the city's heat emergency plan. Since last week, our city agencies have been proactively coordinating to keep New Yorkers and tourists safe. We will also issue targeted alerts through our city's advanced warning system to protect our most vulnerable neighbors, like older New Yorkers and those with chronic illnesses. Beginning tomorrow, the city will open hundreds of cooling centers across the 5 boroughs, including locations at the Javits Center, our schools, a number of library branches, and right here at NYSEM headquarters. Visit nyc.gov/beattheheat for a map of cooling centers, including accessible and pet-friendly options, and for more information on how to stay safe. Our plan also includes several first-of-their-kind measures to protect our most vulnerable New Yorkers. We are activating more than 2,200 Link NYC kiosks to display real-time directions to the nearest NYC cooling center within a 10-minute walk. We are also launching a fleet of 15 never-before-used cooling outreach on location. These vehicles, known as cool vans, are operated by New York City Health and Hospital, and we will be open to any New Yorker who needs medical care, resources like water and electrolytes, meals including vegetarian, kosher, and halal options, and transport to cooling center. They will be staffed by medical providers who will also be checking in on older adults in their homes to provide them with relief from the heat. As we activate a code red tomorrow, we are intensifying our street canvass and outreach efforts from noon up until 8 p.m. A total of 600 outreach workers will reach out to New Yorkers in need. Shelters are available system-wide for anyone who is home. Walk-ins are welcome. And with conditions this dangerous, I am asking every New Yorker to make a heat plan before the worst of it arrives. The single most important thing you can do in these temperatures is to stay indoors with air conditioning. You can avoid going outside during the hottest hours of the day. Please do so. Start figuring out your work and childcare arrangements and know where you will go to stay cool. A few minutes of planning now could help your family stay safe later. Once you have your heat plan, check in on your neighbors, especially seniors, to make sure that they have one too. And if you see someone outside and vulnerable to this heat, call 311 and an outreach team will be sent.
And you guys may not know this, but
it's been a great month to be a fan of
heat is actually one of the leading causes of death for the elderly. So these programs actually could save thousands of lives.
But this week, it's about to get a lot tougher. We are entering what could be the most extreme heat wave this city has seen in over a decade. It can hit 100 degrees, with temperatures feeling as hot as 112 and staying hot into the weekend. We're ready, but we want to make sure you are too. Especially if you're celebrating the World Cup, or the 4th of July, or renting out MSG to get married. Hypothetically. The most important thing you can do in this heat is to stay indoors with air conditioning. This is crucial for kids, older adults, those with respiratory or heart conditions, as well as for your pets. Now, if you do go out, be mindful of signs of heat stroke, including confusion, dizziness, nausea, and trouble breathing. Call 911 immediately if you or someone you know is experiencing these symptoms. If you don't have AC, or yours simply isn't cutting it, find one of NYC's cooling centers, like this library. Visit nyc.gov/beattheheat to find one of the hundreds of cooling centers open near you, now through Saturday. You can also call 311 or just look outside. Link NYC kiosks will display directions to a nearby cooling center. If you're working outside in this heat, it's important to be extra careful and know your rights. If you're a delivery worker, you have the right to use the bathroom at any business you are picking up from. And remember, the city's protected time off law applies to heat-related health issues as well. We're especially concerned about keeping homeless New Yorkers safe. That's why, for the first time in city history, we're deploying cool vans that will provide any New Yorker who needs it medical care, water, and transport to cooling centers. We're also increasing street canvassing and other outreach this week. But we need your help too. So call 311 if you're worried about someone you see. We'll be keeping you updated all week with weather forecasts and resources to help you stay cool. Be sure to text Notify NYC to 692-692 for the latest updates. Let's look out for each other on this scorching first week of July. Stay cool, my friends.
I think a lot of what makes sewer socialism effective is that it's about governance is a continual process, right? And these small things lead to big outcomes. And this is why they hate him. This is why they hate his ass, by the way. They hate Zoran because he raises the bar. Can you imagine Karen Bass putting out anything that's this compelling? And it's just for a very important issue for New Yorkers, which is, hey, there's dangerous heat. We want to keep the heat deaths down as low as possible. This is what we're doing. We're going to save lives. We're going to spend a little bit of money, and we're going to save a lot of lives. People don't understand that heat stroke causes permanent brain damage or death. Like, if you get into heat stroke, your brain is literally cooking. So, like, we need to have these procedures available, because if we could take someone who's at heat exhaustion and prevent them from getting the heat stroke, we can literally change their life. Gustavo, one of the co-chairs of NYC DSA, says means testing is a great way to ensure a durable political coalition never coheres to sustain public services. Socialists generally advocate for universal programs. Hope that helps. Why does it feel like NYC DSA is taking existing social assistance, affordable housing, healthcare, fair fares, etc., meant for low-income families born here and handing it to upper-middle-class college graduates from wealthy suburbs? Because we give it to everybody, you dumb fuck. Because if we don't, then Republicans will come in and say, you're paying all this taxes, and what are you getting for it? And then they'll use it to cut the programs. And every time somebody sends their kid to childcare, oh, did you send your child to the free childcare? Ew. What are you, poor? It's like the difference between universal free lunch and breakfast for kids at school versus means tested programs. Because guess what also happens? Sometimes people get on the program who shouldn't be on it. And sometimes people don't get on it who should be, because it's shameful. It's embarrassing. How many kids don't get the free lunch and free breakfast because they don't want their peers to see that they're poor? How many kids get made fun of for getting a free lunch? So if everybody's got a free lunch, then it's no longer a place of shame, because it's more important that kids eat wholesome meals while they're growing, so they have full bellies so they can learn, so they don't become emotionally dysregulated. I don't know about you. If I go without eating for a full day, I start to get annoyed. I start to become hangry. And I'm a 40-something-year-old man, mostly mature. Think about how that feels to be a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old without having a full belly. I grew up too poor to afford the school lunch, but just wealthy enough not to qualify for free lunch. Yes, it's fucking gross. I'm a chef, and we put together a plan with the local public schools to help offset student lunch debt by increasing our prices at the restaurant. It's fucked. So basically, your business is paying extra taxes so rich people have lower taxes in your community. You're making your restaurant less competitive. I can tell you right now that society is punishing you economically right now. All right, let's get back to making fun of Sean Hannity.
As a corporate attorney due to an obsessive public hatred for Israel.
She lost her job for speaking out about Gaza. Can it power her to Congress? And notice the way that Sean Hannity, remember these guys were the free speech warriors. Remember, free speech warriors. Everybody, well, are you offended? Well, that's my right. First Amendment. You're offended? Too bad. Remember that? Somebody found the cause of the Destiny crash out. Okay, hold on. We got to pop over to this. A hearing on plaintiff's motion to leave to file under seal and plaintiff's motions for sanctions for the defendant's spoliation of evidence is hereby set by the undersigned on Wednesday, July 29th. Given that the motions pertain to evidence central to resolutions of plaintiff's claims, this matter is hereby removed from its current trial calendar and shall be reset after the court's ruling. So in other words, Destiny is facing a motion to punish him for destroying evidence and possibly getting sanctions placed against his attorney for not providing evidence that is relevant. So In a case, that's called spoliation. And if you commit spoliation, it means that the fact finder is supposed to assume the evidence that it's destroyed says exactly what you say it said, in a light most favorable to you. So if you get caught, it's also obviously against the law. You know, it's obviously against the law. So if somebody is destroying evidence or not providing evidence after they've been directed to, that is a big no-no. Spoliation. All right, let's keep going. That explains why he's crashing out, because he's about to lose his case. Destiny deleted files he sent to Abby MC that both of them reference as blowjob videos. So basically, he deleted evidence of him committing the crime for which he's being sued. The exact central point. He could have got out of this for only $1 million, too. Should have just gave her the $1 million.
Israel, and apparently she thinks, quote, the Jews of Israel had it coming on October 7th.
Notice that they don't actually say what she said. Notice that they have to say something completely different from what she actually said.
When thousands of innocent men, women, and children, they were murdered, they were kidnapped, some were beheaded.
Thousands of innocents were not kidnapped. That's not true. And thousands of innocent people were not murdered. Hundreds of civilians were killed, but we don't know who killed them because Israel destroyed all the evidence. Almost half of the people that were killed on October 7th were literally military forces who were engaged in combat, or militia or police that were engaged in combat. There was one person who was beheaded, but he was a combatant who was killed in combat, who was beheaded in combat.
And abducted. Take a look at this.
Again, I'm not saying that it's good that civilians died. I don't like that civilians died. I think it's a war crime. And I wish we could investigate exactly who killed every civilian. And they should be prosecuted if they did so against the laws of war, right? Like, whether they're Palestinian or Israeli, I don't think you get to kill civilians. But that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is Israel killed a bunch of their own civilians and they covered it up and destroyed all the evidence. So nobody knows what happened. And like, that is weird. How do you get beheaded in combat? Hand-to-hand combat. Hand-to-hand combat, bro.
October 7th, it felt like there were very different responses to what had happened.
Here's the thing. Israel has had Gaza under siege for years with our tax dollars and our money. They've not allowed sugar to come in and cookies to come in because they said you could turn cookies into rockets. They had dual use. Right now, they won't allow baby formula to go in that is high protein for babies that have malnourishment. Specialized baby formula that has a higher protein formulation to help babies recover from malnourishment is banned by Israel. They have killed more people in Lebanon than were killed on October 7th since the ceasefire was signed. Like, this is the type of shit we're talking about, right? And right now in the West Bank, they're committing pogroms, building new settlements that are illegal under international law. Like, and it's just straight up, that's the crime that everyone is outraged over.
And, you know, I mean, everybody remembers, right? Being on social media, seeing like some of the ways people were talking about Palestinians at the time. But I remember being on LinkedIn and like seeing other lawyers just like celebrating what they were seeing in Palestine, the leveling of Gaza and the, you know, just complete destruction. And I was like, what is missing from this conversation where I could look at this as, you know, an inevitable consequence of apartheid, of occupation, decades of occupation, and somebody else.
Right. I mean, if a people don't have a right to self-determination, you're going to see this type of shit. Like, the Palestinian people have been in occupation and displaced since 1948. The West Bank, Gaza, occupied since 67. You know, East Jerusalem, occupied. And there was supposed to be a two-state solution that was done 30 years ago. And what Benjamin Netanyahu says, I work overtime to make sure there's no Palestinian state. There is no major Israeli politician that supports a Palestinian state of any kind. So if you say you support a two-state solution, that's just as pie in the sky as anything that we say. It's a platitude and everybody knows it.
To look at what Israel's response was and say, no, that's what we need to do. They need to be leveled.
Now, Kiros has also called for an embargo on all defensive weapons to Israel, including ammunition for the Iron Dome. It would seem that she, you know, only has room in her heart for certain people, especially if they are trans.
Hutch is watching my content. Time to sue him for copyright infringement Am I right, chat? Time to sue him for copyright infringement. He supports the lawsuits, right? Time to sue him for copyright infringement.
Children, take a look.
I wrote all of our policy page a year ago now, but we're updating it this week. And some of the things that we're adding in, there's also a trans bill of rights. It is, I think, incumbent upon us to be proactive in this fight. I think we've been on the defensive, and I think there are Democrats that have even considered abandoning our solidarity and our advocacy for the gay community, particularly for trans people and trans kids. And for that, I would say that you're not a Democrat.
Now, like every other socialist that's running, Melat Kiros espouses a set of truly insane ideas designed to completely destabilize the country and make life worse for everybody. The goal, destroy America from the inside out and replace our country with a...
Why are you like posting a picture of somebody with a burning shopping cart? What is this supposed to be? Guys, somebody destroyed a $100 shopping cart! Put it on Fox News! It's not even destroyed. It's like made of wire. They just blackened it.
Communist utopia. By the way, if successful, I promise you, there will be no utopia. There will be suffering. There will be broken promises. There will be pain. There will be more poverty. And at the end of the day, a loss of freedom in the name of...
Hutch is currently asking ChatGPT whether Francesca Hong is a NIMBY. I should DMCA him and say, you're not allowed to watch my content unless you debate me.
False security. Now, it's way past time for Democrats who still love America to stand up against these communist bullies, but the Democratic Party is full of nothing but power-hungry, moral cowards at the moment. And sadly, but for John Fetterman, patriotic Democrats are now few and far between.
John Fetterman is a patriotic Democrat. He must be switching parties. Fetterman must be switching parties. I think that what's going to happen, and this is like the most Mike from me PA prediction, is that John Fetterman will, if the Republicans need John Fetterman to switch parties, he will, to give them the Senate back. But if the Democrats win like every seat, then he won't, because he's going to try to hold on to the Democratic nomination and therefore go the way of Joe Manchin or Kyrsten Sinema and be gone. I would say he's like a 90-something% chance of flipping, because nobody cares that he used to wave the trans flag around and wear it as a cloak. Just now he's waving around the Israeli flag and wearing that as a cloak. He's abandoned all of his positions, all of them.
Take a look.
There is such a polarization, partisan split on this issue, the largest that I've ever seen. Just take a look at this. This is where it really gets interesting and I would dare say a little bit nutty. How proud to be an American. You know, among Republicans, 93% are extremely or very proud. Just a single one say they have little to no pride in being an American. But look over at the Democratic side. This is where we've seen this extremely or very number. It's been taking a tumble at 27%. But look at this. The little or no proud to be an American actually among Democrats eclipses, is greater than the extremely or very proud number.
How can you not look at the country state and be frustrated? How can you not look at the country state and not be frustrated? I love what America could be. I love a lot about what of America is. But how can you not look? I mean, Jesus Christ, drive in any major American city and you cannot but see despair and rot. Everything is crumbling. The homelessness is out of control. The vacancy, the despair. The country is fucking dingy. You don't see health. You don't see children laughing and playing. You know, like you see a society that is on its last legs. Every turn, you know, every corner you turn, you see an ad for a fucking, you know, a scam, crypto, gambling, opioid addiction counseling. It's a fucking joke. It's an embarrassment. In Los Angeles, California, over 30% of commercial real estate is vacant. You have property that is rotting, that's been that way for 40 fucking years. And housing it's $1.5 million for a 3-bedroom home. 3-bedroom apartment is $4.5 grand, $5 grand. How can you have a family? How could a normal human being afford to have a family?
What has happened to this once great party known as the Democratic Party? Not that it was ever great. But is anybody really surprised? This is the result of what is decades now of Democratic leaders, academia, the media mob trashing our great country day in, day out, year in.
See, this is why they're pathetic losers. Sean, you are a pathetic fucking loser. It's not trashing. They look at the flaws. Every person who grows, I don't care if you're trying to get better at playing golf. The way to improve is to be honest about your flaws and practice until you get better and constantly reevaluate. You don't just say, I'm the best golfer in the world, and then hit 130. And it doesn't mean you stop taking swings either. It doesn't mean you quit and you only play games you're perfect at. To be a great country, you have to have humility, which is supposed to be part of the Christian religion you supposedly follow, you heretical fuck. You worshiper of Mammon and Epstein, you disgusting freak. I hate that our country is full of people like you. You're in a minority, but unfortunately you've gotten in control of this country because the centrist corporate Democrats put their fingers in their ears and screamed everything's fine. And so now you, the dumbest and most vile, greedy, malicious people full of hate, are in control of this country and therefore have the world scared. We're gonna beat you and we're gonna beat your fucking ass. And I'm gonna put you in your mental health. Don't worry, we're gonna reopen the facilities for people that have brains that are absolutely destroyed by greed. You have a mental illness and you need help, and we're gonna give it to you.
Year out, take a look.
We're not gonna make America great again. It was never that great.
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
Corporate Dem you endorsed, you fucking idiot. You had Donald Trump come on Fox News and endorse that guy. He's your guy.
In ways like Jesus, like the cross, it's been co-opted and in some ways its true meaning has been betrayed.
No, yes, it has. It's a religion of greed, of selfishness. Like, your religion isn't about Jesus Christ, the man, and his teachings. Notice you're not citing any of them, you fucking disgusting heretical scum. Honestly, the Pope would be cool if he started excommunicating these guys.
No, not God bless America, God damn America. That's in the Bible.
Founding fathers did not live and die.
Oh, you guys, you got a clip. Wow, that's a fair representation of their point. You got a clip of them. Oh man, I'm sure that's what his point was. Okay, we gotta stop it. We gotta stop it.
No, not God bless America, God damn America. That's in the Bible. Prior to Abraham Lincoln, the government in this country said it was legal to hold Africans in slavery in perpetuity. Perpetuity is one of the University of Chicago words. That means forever. From now on. When Lincoln got in office, the government changed. Prior to the passing of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, the government defined Africans as slaves, as property, people with no rights to be respected by any whites anywhere. The Supreme Court of the government, same court, granddaddy court of the one that stole the 2000 election, Supreme Court said in its Dred Scott decision in the 1850s, no African anywhere in this country has any rights that any white person has to respect at any place, anytime. That was the government's official position, backed up by the Supreme Court, that's the judiciary, backed up by the executive branch, that's the president, backed up by the legislative branch, and enforced by the military of the government. But I stopped by to tell you tonight that governments changed. Prior to Harry Truman's government, the military in this country was segregated. But governments changed prior to the civil rights and equal accommodations laws of the government in this country. There was back segregation by the country, legal discrimination by the government, prohibited blacks from voting by the government. You had to eat in separate places by the government. You had to sit in different places from white folk because the government said so. And you had to be buried in a separate cemetery. It was apartheid American style from the cradle to the grave, all because the government backed it up. But guess what? Governments changed. Under Bill Clinton, we got a messed up welfare to work bill, but under Clinton, blacks had an intelligent friend in the Oval Office. Oh, but governments changed. The election was stolen. We went from an intelligent friend to a dumb Dixiecrat, a rich Republican who has never held a job in his life, is against affirmative action, against education, I guess he is, against health care, against benefits for his own military, and gives tax breaks to the wealthiest contributors to his campaign. Governments change, sometimes for the good and sometimes for the bad. But I'm fitting to help you again. Turn back and say, he's fitting to help us again. Where governments change, write this down, Malachi 3:6. Malachi 3:6, thus saith the Lord. Repeat it after me. For I am the Lord, and I change not. That's the King James Version. The New Revised says, for I, the Lord, do not change. In other words, where governments change, God does not change. God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. That's what his name, I am, means, you know. He does not change. There is no shadow of turning in God. One songwriter puts it this way, as thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Thou changest not. Thy compassions, they fail not. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. God does not change. God was against slavery on yesterday, and God, who does not change, is still against slavery today. God was a God of love yesterday, and God, who does not change, is still a God of love today. God was a God of justice on yesterday, and God, who does not change, is still a God of justice today. Turn to your neighbor and say, God does not change. Where governments lie, God does not lie. Where governments change, God does not change. And I'm through now. But let me leave you with one more thing. Governments fail. The government in this text, comprised of Caesar, Quirinius, Pontius Pilate, Pontius Pilate. The Roman government failed. The British government used to rule from east to west. The British government had a Union Jack. She colonized Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, and Hong Kong. Her navies ruled the 7 seas all the way down to the tip of Argentina in the Falklands. But the British government failed. The Russian government failed. The Japanese government failed. The German government failed. And the United States of America government, when it came to treating her citizens of Indian descent fairly, she failed. She put them on reservations. When it came to treating her citizens of Japanese descent fairly, she failed. She put them in internment prison camps. When it came to treating the citizens of African descent fairly, America failed. She put them in chains. The government put them on slave quarters, put them on auction blocks, put them in cotton fields, put them in inferior schools, put them in substandard housing, put them in scientific experiments, put them in the lowest paying jobs, put them outside the equal protection of the law, kept them out of their racist bastions of higher education, and locked them into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating our citizens as less than human. God damn America as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is supreme. The United States government has failed the vast majority of her citizens of African descent.
And so, like, come on, man. You used a clip of less than 10 seconds because he's a coward. Because Sean Hannity and Republicans are cowards. They cannot, and they know their audience is dumb. So they're frightened of showing the truth and in engaging on an intellectual level because they are manipulators. They are fucking narcissists. They are evil bastards who want nothing but propaganda and emotion and vibes, but not 1 ounce of self-reflection or honesty.
This moment, I can't celebrate July 4th We tired. We want some of this earth. We'll tear this.
Louis Farrakhan? We're doing Louis Farrakhan clips now?
Damn country up. And making America great again. When that passed.
Oh my fucking God, dude. People were mad at me because I said I'd rather vote for Trump than Pete. I would never vote for Trump. I was just trying to express my antipathy for Pete. But I would not vote for Trump ever. Even if Pete was running. I would vote for a third party. I would never vote for Trump. But I just want everybody to understand that I despise Pete Buttigieg. And I think that my position is actually the majority position in this country. If you like Pete, there's something wrong with you.
He is promising to return us to was never as great as advertised.
I can promise you, black folks, we will take that day off. We will barbecue because we off. But black people, that nobody black I know is really excited about the 4th of July.
Everything they're doing runs against making America great. Well, it was never great, so I'm not going to say the again part, but
Now, this America-hating monster the Democratic Party now created for political gain is now totally, completely out of control. And as Obama's anti-American pastor, the once, famous on this show, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, once said, America's chickens have come home to roost. All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with Me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the funniest schizo post that I was just sent. Destiny wants you to know who the only person that he likes in the space. No one can engage in all of the levels needed to fight at this level. Hutch is the closest one. No one could do politics on this level like I can in the lib left area. Who are you doing politics with? Who are Destiny's, who are the politicians that like Destiny? Like, I'm legit. Are there any? Like, who are the politics who are like, we love Destiny, he's the best? Peter Mendelsohn? Yeah, no shit. This is their champion? I don't know why I kept holding the bag.
Adopting is to make sure that we're going in spaces where people are...
Failed that interaction by holding the gifts. But I wanted to open them. But I wanted you guys to keep giving her money. In the future, I'll get a stand or something to put it on.
Already gathering, having fun, being in community, and how can we make sure that we're showing ways that we want to build trust and relationship?
Okay. This is what Claude's most advanced model on the max thinking setting.
Why are all of our enemies actually inferior? Like, they're actually mentally inferior. It's crazy how inferior they are.
On whether or not Francesca Hong is a Yimby. Not in the movement sense, no. Hong isn't labeled or self-branded as a Yimby, and her housing platform...
Adopting is to make sure that we're going in spaces where people are...
I was reading Claude. I was getting some great Claude information. I was getting great AI. You know, the thing that's funny about Hutch is that you're dumb, and you're a dumb piece of shit. Watch Hutch get owned by a video.
By Robinson Meyer in an Atlantic magazine article. It described a type of young, mostly male, very online Sanders supporter who Meyer portrayed as aggressive,
very white too, a very white cohort,
self-righteous, and dismissive of Clinton supporters. What's important regarding this narrative is that young female voters were much more likely to be Sanders voters than Hillary voters. Also, black men were very much more likely to be Hillary voters than Bernie supporters. Thus, both of these narratives disprove that Bernie support was primarily from angry white men, but the Clinton campaign clung to this narrative throughout the campaign. On the same day that the...
It's always been a generational divide. That's what the left is. Like, people our age are on the left. People that are old are on the right. Now, 10 years ago, there weren't enough millennials voting. So we weren't able to overcome boomers. Now, 10 years later, a lot of boomers have died. And a lot of millennials have begun to participate more. So that's what's happening. It's a generational divide. American politics is going to the left because... And this is a very important point. Millennials are asserting themselves. Older Gen Z are starting to assert themselves. Our politics are going to become more and more and more strong. That's why you're starting to see millennial politicians take power, because we haven't changed. What's changed is the amount of the electorate that is millennial. By the way, chat, I just realized something. We are 3 hours and 55 minutes into the stream. I think we got another Order of Romeo this week. I think we got an Order of Romeo. Supposedly we got another Order of Romeo at tier 3. I don't see it. I missed it. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it by subscribing. I can only do this with all of your guys' support. Where is the Order of Romeo? At me if you Order of Romeo. Noisy Immigrant, thank you for the raid, by the way, or the shout out. I don't see it. Ham and Fist, thank you for the 20 bomb. Green Base Guy, thank you for the Order of Romeo. Also, chat, I have a new post. So it's starting to look like Melat is going to win by about 14 points. And I know a few people on Twitter wanted to see my predictions from my stream, so I made a video for it. Let's watch it. I think Melat's going to win by like at least 10. And I think Gonzalez is going to go down to the wire. And all of us are going to be like, why did we do more for Gonzalez? We could have won. That's exactly what's going to happen. I think Melat's got it by at least 10. That being said, is there any polling? She's up 5 in the polls. Oh God. Okay. She's going to win by at least 15 then. But again, you run through the tape, chat. Will we know who wins tonight? I think Colorado has some mail-in voting, right? But I think they should have it all counted before the polls close. I think we should have a good sense. And I also think we'll know by tonight because she'll be winning by so much. When the polls close, and the first big drop will be somewhere around 4 to 6 points. And then it'll rise up to 10 plus after all the votes. I don't know why there it is. There it is. Few people saw that I got the NY's DSA slate predictions dead on accurate. Wanted to see my predictions for Melat. Here it is. Melat by 10 to 15. I'm a numbers guy. If you want an election guy for your show or podcast, hit me up. And the reason why I was able to say that was because I understand that there has been a pretty significant underestimation of the turnout operations of DSA. And as I said before, we know that a good campaign can push the number by around 7 points. So if you have a perfect field organization, perfect field op, around 7 points is what you're going to move it off the polls. So Melat actually overperformed what I think is the most you can do. She was up by 5 of the polling average. She pushed it 7 points in her direction. That's 12. She's still probably going to be better than that. And again, this is from a long time of, of studying this stuff, working in it, looking into it, and having assumptions that are correct. What do the tiers do? You get a few more emotes and Mike shouts you out. Oh yeah. Tier 3 is just the best way to support the stream. You get a few more emotes. I'm actually going to develop more emotes. Some of our emotes got banned, which is fucking bullshit. I'm so sorry, chat. They banned DSA Cheeks, which is our first Sticks emote, which is absolute dog shit. My guess is we got some butthurt conservatives mass reported it, or butthurt people that I don't like. It is what it is. My biggest worry is that centrists are going to copy DSA's ground game and phone game. What are your thoughts on how that will go? Impossible. All they can do is do paid work. Paid work is much lower quality because guess what? Paid canvassers, they cheat their numbers because they don't like it because it's a job. Fuck this. Whereas volunteers are fired up and self-motivated. So paid canvassing is fucking garbage. So, maybe they can try, but it's going to be, first of all, it's very expensive to do a paid canvassing op. We're talking about like hundreds of thousands of dollars to get on the same level as what we get. Like they just don't, you know how much it would cost to hire 6,500 volunteers? Let's assume that a paid canvasser is like 5 times better than a volunteer. You're going to hire 2,000 staff for a congressional race. They're all going to get paid, what, $4.5 grand a month? And that it'd probably be more than that. Good fucking luck. Good fucking luck. Like that's just not, it's not doable. It's like the dude posing with Zoran while paid canvassing for Cuomo. Link me that video so my point looks even smarter. Also, everybody like, comment, and subscribe on this so I can stunt on the hoes who hate that Mike was right. I want everybody who's mad about Mike was right to see this and have to go, God damn it, he was right again. Stunt on them hoes. Make everybody who hates Mike was right get even angrier. All right, calm like a Tom. Thank you for the 20 bomb. Fry Guy, thank you for the tier 3, brother. You're the best. K-State Nate, 83 months. Holy shit. Mash 180, thank you for the gift of the resub. Just Nuke It, thank you for the 5. Marksy Marks. Green Bass Guy. Ham and Fifth. Okay. Can we carry the flame at 15? Yes. If we hit level 15 on the hype train, we'll carry the flame. This is what paid canvassing looks like.
And actually to take this interview, because I didn't want to be seen wearing this shirt. Because I don't particularly support Cuomo. I don't think he's a righteous guy. I think he's a bit of a morally reprehensible person. But for me, I think, even though he's a bad guy, he's paying $200 a day. And even if it is like blood money from like billionaires and super PACs, not righteous causes, a guy's gotta get money. I'm sorry.
So who do you support instead?
Personally, I kind of stand behind Zohran Mamdani. I've heard a lot of people's criticisms of him and people's praises of him. I think he's kind of a breath of fresh air for politics in New York. People kind of criticize his inexperience, and that's a valid claim. He's had positions before, and people say that he wasn't able to get much done there. And that's fair, but how else are you getting?
You can't buy a movement, chat. You cannot buy a movement. So when we look at this stuff, when we are sending 6,000 volunteers out, when Hasan puts up a phone bank and 500 people jump on, that's times 200. That's the value that we're giving. And when somebody picks up the phone and they talk to someone and it's a volunteer from the community that cares about the cause, that's different than talking to somebody who's just trying to get numbers on the board so they can get paid. They just can't do it, man. They just can't do it. I guess it would be better than nothing, right? But you see that this is an organic expression of the way people feel, democracy and people power. It's different. Soviet Cranberry, Hormuzzy. Thank you guys, gals, non-binary pals for the 5 bombs. You guys are the best. Green Base Guy and Ham and Fist, thank you so much for the 20 bombs. Can we get some bended knees? For Soviet Cranberry dropping 5 gifted subs 5 times. Don Joe.
Moving us towards a better future. I feel like, for me, Zohran Mamdani was the first politician in a hot minute that I was actually like, oh, damn, this guy's pretty cool. Because I feel like, I don't even identify that much as a Democrat. I'm kind of I support the working class, Republican, Democrat. I'm with the average Joe. And I feel like when it came to presidential elections, for example, Kamala Harris spent so much money on her campaign. All I really gathered from her campaign was, I'm not Trump. Which, for me, that was enough because I don't like Trump. I was like, yeah, okay, for Kamala. But I didn't really know what she stood for at the end of the day, I'll be honest. Zohran, I feel like his campaign, he actually went down on the ground, to actually talk to, what was the reason people voted for Trump? What was people's, the reason that they turned away from, Kamala, for example? And people were focused on, money and money issues, New York is one of the most expensive cities to live in. And, when people are concerned about that, the economics instead of, this culture war bullshit, I didn't mean to swear again. I feel like that's what people care about at the end of the day. Both the Republican Party and the focus so much on this culture war that it's okay, now we can get it by all.
I understand why he grabbed the 200. I've been there, man. I've been there. But also, better than that, bruh. It would be better than that. That being said, going on to a show and making great propaganda where you're like, yeah, I took the money, but fuck Cuomo. That's why Cuomo lost. That's why Cuomo lost. You can't pay for, you can't buy a movement like we have. Was stopped on an Eastern Parkway by a Cuomo canvasser and she told me she's voting for Zohran, LOL. All of the Cuomo people are getting paid. I remember collecting cigs for Zohran, and a guy collecting them for Cuomo asked me and my buddy how much we were getting paid. He then said he was interested in supporting Zohran. Some people just need a job. Mike, he had the number. He's a numbers guy. He knew Mamdani was going to win anyways. I knew Mamdani was going to win. I was the first person to say Mamdani was going to win. There was a poll that came out where Mamdani was losing head-to-head against Cuomo 49-51, and I said, oh, he's probably winning by 10 then. I was the numbers guy. And how did I know that? Well, because I looked into the evidence. There was an unbelievable surge of voter registration that we had not seen ever for a mayor's race. You don't get 50,000 people to register Democrat and that mean no one new is coming out, right? You know what I mean? And here's the thing. I'm also not just a Democrat booster like Ed Germentum, right? When I told you that Kamala Harris was going to lose horribly, I had a debate with Austin Show about Nevada where I looked at the early vote with him and said it indicates she's going to lose Nevada. I said she was going to fucking get wrecked. Is it because I wanted Trump to win? No, it's because I know what I'm talking about. And all the indications were that the regular rank and file people were not, they were fucking despondent and they were pissed off about Gaza. And young people and people of color were not going to show up at the numbers she needed. And that's exactly what happened. He was so bad on Chapo. I mean, there's two people that go on Chapo all the time, and I'm starting to like wonder why. Dave Weigel and Editor Mentum. Like Dave Weigel is constantly like posting these like kind of like anti-DSA, anti-left-wing shit to the point where it's like all the time. And it's like, you know, it's fine. You're a reporter. Like, I get it. But then it gets to a point where it's like you're posting like 60 like tweets that are like, you know what I mean? It's like Dave Weigel has some sort of like bitterness toward the left. And I don't know what's going on with him. Man, this was a blowout. Everyone tell UBish voter to unblock me. Now that he has come to accept that Abdul Al-Sayed is the best candidate, he should unblock me now. Also, look, a universal vote by mail state counting 90% of their votes tonight. They didn't actually count 90% of their vote. It was an estimate. They're still at below 80%. That was an estimate. The estimate was wrong. They're still counting. She just blew them out, so no one cares. When Fox News is booking you and covering you, might that be for the same reason Republican PACs spend to help progressive candidates? They may see you as easier to beat. Abdul El-Sayed. It's amazing to me how deeply they were misjudging this. It's like you've never fought a counterpuncher. Number of times I'm going to define and redefine Mike Rogers. We're talking about an anti-charismatic, old-school politician who doesn't know what he believes except for what he wants to make himself rich off the rest of us. You know what I'm going to do to that man? By the time I'm done, his best friends are going to look at him and think, say what I say. I'm going to define him into eternity. Good. Help me beat the crap out of you. Little parts of your vestiges politically are going to be scattered all over the state of Michigan, never to be seen again. You say Mike Rogers, I'll be like, remember when Abdul just completely demolished that man's political future? By the time I'm done with him, people are going to call him $5 Rogers. Why $5? Because of $5 gas and how he'll do whatever you want him to do for $5. Haley Stevens is in a suit with a large APAC bank account. That's it. I hope maybe they find some way to teach her how to string together two coherent sentences. I guess at some point when you sell out for that many corporations and special interests, I guess you forget how to think for yourself. Abdul, you are such a democratic socialist at heart, man. You are so a democratic socialist at heart. You're not a progressive. You're not a progressive. Hutch is a progressive, okay? Reynoso was a progressive. Elizabeth Warren is a progressive. You're not a progressive. You're a democratic socialist because you've got heart, because you've got gonads. You're not sitting there like ashamed of yourself because you believe that people deserve rights. You're a fucking fighter. What's your conversation with Chuck Schumer if you win the primary? If the DSCC wants to invest in Michigan, fantastic. DSCC wants to make the same mistake they made with Mandela Barnes in 2022, and we're going to figure out how to run our campaign. If the DSCC is committed to a Senate majority, then they are going to have to win it through Michigan, and I will have given them the best shot at doing that. God damn, he's a fucking stud. I don't hate Dave. I just what I'm trying to say, like, I like Dave Weigel. I actually do like him. I just feel like there's some sort of like energy that's off. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I think there's a lot of people, and I call it the elder millennial Chapo brain, where they've been convinced that because they lost with Bernie, we will always lose, right? Like there's a certain person who is like convinced that AOC is really bad for some reason because, you know, she continued to survive after Bernie, right? There is a certain type of person who is just like convinced that because we didn't make it the first time, it means we can't win. And it's like, how are you thinking like this? Don't you remember Goldwater and then Reagan 10 years later? Bernie is the left-wing Goldwater. He started the movement and it's been growing for 10 years. And we had the alternative and it failed. And now everybody is fed up with the establishment and they're ready to try the left-wing movement politics. Just like they were fed up with Republican, you know, the Goldwater Republican, not the Goldwater, the Rockefeller Republican, you know, types. They gave up on that and they went for the conservative movement politician in Reagan. Reagan was the maturation of the Goldwater revolution. Just like AOC will be the maturation and DSA will be the maturation of Bernie Sanders movement. It's an analogy that in our history hits perfectly. At 10 years in politics is an eye blink. It's nothing. It's fucking nothing. And our movement has seen it through. And now we have more than just Bernie. Now we've got charismatic people, intelligent people, organizers, leaders. We've got our own media. People have given up on mainstream media, especially the Democratic base was the last group of Americans that still believed mainstream media. Joe Biden was the guy who destroyed the Gaza genocide was finally the last straw that destroyed Democratic base voters' faith in mainstream media. Mainstream media and their ability to shape our politics on the left has finally been defeated. We are in an opportunity that we've never seen in American history. The left has never been more popular than it is right now in American history. It's never been this good. And yes, we've got a long way to go. You got 2.5 years to change the world. And if you have any doubts, I don't care. I really don't. How do you want to die? Do you want to look back and say, you know, we really had a shot and I didn't give it my all and I fucked up and, you know, I wasn't involved and it turns out that if I had done a little bit more, we might have made it? Or would you rather look back and say, we put everything out there and it just wasn't our time? I want to not have any fucking regrets. I want no fucking regrets. And aren't you so fucking disgusted and tired with these corporate centrist Democrats and these fascist, pedophile, racist Republicans? I think the thing that is so amazing about my political career is that people that have been on this stream are now in office. This is a place where we make winners. The scale of recent left-wing victories in New York brighten the spotlight of progressive Democrats everywhere, especially in politically competitive states. Abdul El Sayed is ready for it. What did the campaign swing with Hasan Piker and getting criticized do for your campaign? Look, I've been very clear. I'll go everywhere, talk to everybody. The folks at Third Way make a whole organization out of taking money from billionaires and corporate folks to launder the same old shit ideas that have buried towns like this one. And then they want to do this sort of platform politics that feels more like a bunch of folks wanting to live in a West Wing episode than real life. I think their style of politics is about as old as their ideas and about as stale. So when they came after me, all they were doing was telling on themselves. And when we doubled down, they realized I'm not playing games. What an absolute Chad. Is any of that, we just read this thing about $5 Rogers. It was huge, you know, huge energy. Is it any of the complicated by a super PAC entering the race to help you? When you look at the players, you're talking about the National Nurses United, talking about Working Families Party, these folks who are trying to push back against AIPAC. The subtotal of their, my face when I completely dominate you. Bro, you're 40 years old. You're 40 fucking years old. I know you got clips. 2 views? No one even ever cared enough about your chats to click on your name and be curious. I'm the 2nd view. Other than, I guess you clipped yourself, honestly. Sick clip, bro. Sick clip, bro. Fred was such a badass on your stream the other day. Yes, I saw. I saw that. I saw, bro. I saw. Thank you. The meme. If you're AIPAC right now, you're gotta be sweating. So it's only a matter of time until they start going negative, and all our allies are trying to push back. I don't take money from corporations. I never have. I never will. That's the big difference between me and my opponent. Haley Stevens is a suit with a large AIPAC bank account. That's it. I hope maybe they find some way to teach her how to string together 2 coherent sentences. I guess at some point, when you sell out for that many corporations and special interests, I guess you forget how to think for yourself. In your book, you supported a pathway to citizenship for everyone who is here now. Is that still your preference? If you have heinously broken the law, that's a different question. But the vast majority of people here are law-abiding, building good lives, have American citizens in their family who rely on them, and we need a pathway to citizenship for the vast majority of folks who are here. There are Americans who rely on them, and the lowest disruption way forward is to create a pathway to staying here while securing our southern border. How does this play into Medicare for all? An easy line for Republicans would be, you want to give Medicare to illegal immigrants. I think there's a bunch of bad faith arguments that people are always going to make about somebody else getting services. I think increasingly people are focused on whether or not they're getting services. Bad faith arguments are bad faith, and I think good faith can win over them. I do believe there's a cynicism that happens in Democratic politics where we assume we actually can't win people over. It's funny to me that the very same people who say you need to have babies don't really want to invest in your ability to afford having a baby. And at the same time, they want to shut down immigration. We are on the cusp of losing the ability to grow. So if you don't want to invest in the social safety net that empowers people to grow their families and you want to shut down immigration, this is incoherent. So whatever version of Medicare for all you get, it should cover non-citizens. If you're paying your taxes in this country, you deserve to get what the tax pays for. I don't pay my taxes for immigrants. They pay their taxes, so you get Medicare. The exchange you should make with the government is you pay in, you get out. One more question for the book. Do you still support some form of reparations for Black Americans and Native Americans? If you look at the communities that always suffer under economic downturns, those communities always suffer the worst. I think there's a responsibility for us to ask, how do we start correcting so that people have an equal shot at a good life? You don't have to go very far to go to a majority Black community or a Native American reservation and know that these communities have been systemically kept behind. I don't understand exactly what the solution looks like, but I think we should be having a conversation as a society. To be honest, I'm more for universal programs that cover everyone. And ladies and gentlemen, this argument, by the way, and this is for all of my rad libs in the chat, all the people that aren't socialists that think that they are. We are going to do the reverse Southern strategy. What is the reverse Southern strategy? The reverse Southern strategy is to talk about programs and have them be universal, but the net effect is that they will help communities of color more than the mainstream so-called status quo dominant community. But the dominant community gets helped as well. So everybody gets their position better off, but communities that were left behind get brought up more. So the investment goes from the wealthy to communities that have been left behind. And that creates constructively reparations for the past. That is the reverse Southern strategy, which is we don't allow ourselves to get baited into these like ridiculous culture war narratives, but our policies make everybody better off. So if you've been left further behind, you get moved up faster and further. But everybody benefits, so everybody has an incentive to be a part of it. That's how you do it. That's how you make it constructive and politically durable, and that's how you build a just society. And one of the reasons I talk like this is because one of the best ways to close the racial wealth gap or income gap is unionization. Unions promote racial equality. And this is something that a lot of liberals don't want you to know. Unions reduce racial and ethnic pay gaps. Black and Hispanic workers get a larger boost from unionization than their white counterparts. Black workers, both men and women, are more likely than white workers to be union members, and the wage boost they get from being covered by collective bargaining is 14.6%, above the 13.5 average wage boost for unionized workers overall. The result of this union wage premium, how much more union workers earn than comparable non-union workers, combined with the higher probability of unionization for Black workers and spillover effects of unions that compress overall wages, all means that collective bargaining lifts wages of Black workers closer to those of their white counterparts. Hispanic workers have a slightly lower union coverage than white workers, but have a much higher union wage advantage, a 17.6 boost in pay. Thus, wage gaps between Hispanic workers and their white counterparts are also smaller because of collective bargaining. Racial wealth gaps are also much smaller for union members. Families with a union member have substantially higher levels of median wealth. This union advantage is even stronger for Black and Hispanic households, meaning that the racial wealth gap among union members is substantially lower than for non-union households. Unions boost women's pay. And then we get into exactly how much the wealth, there's still a wealth gap between whites and Blacks that are union, but it's half as much as non-union. Unions also boost women's pay. Hourly wages for women represented by unions are 9.5% higher on average than non-unionized women with comparable characteristics. Union represented workers in service occupations are paid 47.7% more in wages than their non-union counterparts. These occupations are disproportionately held by women. So, like, when we say a union for all, that means we are disproportionately helping women, Black voters, Hispanic voters, and other people of color. And here's the thing that I want you to understand. If you're a white man and you're listening to me say this and you're going, oh my God, the left wing is going to mean that I fall back further behind. You understand that there's a union premium for white men as well? White men in unions make something like 10% more than white men who are not in a union. So being in a union helps everybody. It just helps the people that were held further behind more than it helps you, but you still make more. You still are better off. So equity, unionization, collective work, collective bargaining across racial working class coalition makes you better off too. Because the real enemy is not between the races. It's between those that have and those that don't. Those that work and those that don't. That's the real thing. And all of this racial infighting, all of this shit is a fucking psyop of the rich to divide the working class. It doesn't mean that we don't need to do anti-racist work. It doesn't mean that just, having unions is going to completely erase all of this bad shit. But by building up our working class power, we are advancing the ball for racial equity directly. And this is what makes us socialists, is we understand that solidarity makes everybody better off. Well, who's not a capitalist? It's not evidence that unions don't serve white people. It's evidence that non-union jobs screw POC more. Exactly, because unions also protect you against bad faith discrimination and retaliatory firings. A woman in a union is much better off fighting against sexual harassment. Is much better off fighting against like discrimination from her having children, or her, having some sort of medical problem, or being a caretaker, or you name it. Like, what's better, unions or worker cooperatives? All strategies of working class power have their time and their place. There is no answer for we should always do X no matter what the conditions are. That is rigid thinking. That is thinking that will lead you astray. And speaking of the socialist movement advancing the cause of people of color, here's one of DSA's new state senators in New York.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Mimi Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. After a string of victories of Democratic socialists in primaries across the United States, centrist Democrats, as well as President Trump, are pushing back. The DSA, or Democratic Socialists of America, endorsed about 150 candidates this year, with 35 either winning primaries or advancing in races in Oregon, California, Georgia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maine, Washington, D.C., and New York. In the Colorado primaries today, the DSA is backing 29-year-old Melat Kiros against incumbent longtime Congress member Diana DeGette. And former DSA member, State Senator Julie Gonzalez, is looking to unseat Senator John Hickenlooper. Over the past decade, the DSA has grown from about 5,000 members to over 100,000 members in 200 chapters across the country. On Monday, President Trump called the Democratic Socialists the greatest threat to the nation.
It's not socialism, it's really communism. They use the word social democrat because it sounds so nice, but it's really communism you're talking about. I think it's the biggest threat to our nation there is, maybe since our founding. That includes World War I, World War II, September 11th. It includes the Pearl Harbor attack. I think this is the biggest threat to our nation.
Just 2 days after the DSA sweep in New York primaries last week, a group of centrist Democrats, led by Long Island, New York Congressmember Tom Suozzi, signed a letter titled Promise to America, distancing themselves from the DSA. The letter states, quote, "We are capitalists, not socialists. We want safety, not lawlessness. We're mainstream, not extreme. We're proud, not ashamed of America," Suozzi wrote. Well, we'll be joined shortly by a proud Democratic socialist who won her primary for the New York State Senate last week. If she's elected in November, she'll be the first Palestinian American and the first Muslim woman in the New York State legislature. This is Abir Kawas speaking to supporters after winning her primary with a 20-point lead against State Assembly member Stephen Raga last Tuesday.
If after October 7th, imagine if every single Democratic politician said, in order to end this cycle of violence, we need an end to occupation. Imagine if every single Democratic politician, whether they were a city councilor or they were a state legislator or a congressperson, said, we want to end occupation and not fund genocide. We could have saved thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives of Gazans and Palestinians. And that is why we say another world is possible. is free to live. That is a world where working class communities in Queens and New York, all over the United States, but all over the world have dignity in their lives. That is a world where student activists like Mahmoud Khalil, like Leka Kordia, could have spent the last year with their families instead of missing the birth of their child and languishing in prison for a year. And that is a world where my father, whose family was displaced from Palestine in the Nakba, who came to the United States and was incarcerated for 3 years and then deported, that would be a world where my father could be in this audience to witness his daughter make history.
That's Abir Kawas, Democratic nominee for the New York State Senate from Queens, joining us now in our New York studio. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Abir. Congratulations on your victory in the Democratic primary.
Thank you.
If you win in November, you'll be the first Palestinian American to hold a seat in the New York State Senate.
Yes, I believe in the entire New York State.
If you can go through your platform, as President Trump not only calls DSA members like you the greatest threat the United States has ever known, two, on the same day, talking about the housing bill that he has yet to sign, calling it a yawn, and calling affordability a con job.
Mm-hmm. Well, firstly, I want to say it's incredible to be the first Palestinian and Muslim woman in the New York State legislature. And that is for many reasons, but beyond representation, I believe that is really mostly because as a Palestinian, I come from a group of people who have been waiting for years and years and years for politicians to speak out against the human rights abuses, the genocide, the occupation of our people. And we are a group that has been erased, has been ignored, and has been denied our rights by people in office. And so to actually have the opportunity to be elected into office in this moment is so monumentous, because it really gives a chance for us to not only go in and advocate for working class communities, for communities that are struggling, but also advocate for communities that are erased, like the Palestinian community. But it also gives us a chance to go in with strength and to say, this is what people want to see. Now, you mentioned, you know, the president and him talking about democratic socialists as if we are a threat, when really what we are saying is that we want to make sure that people who are struggling are provided the best social services possible by our government, are provided the best transit, the best education, you know, the best healthcare possible, the most affordable healthcare possible by our government, our same government that is spending billions of dollars killing people abroad. So for me, that is not a threat to people. I think that is a really hopeful message.
Say senator.
That so many Americans and so many people are looking for, and that is why we were able to win in these landslide victories.
Chat, people, oh my God, I didn't react to the Hutch. Apparently Hutch was really racist.
The city of
Denver, not especially close.
78% of the vote. United States House.
She's like a 30-year incumbent, you guys. He's about to say, but she's been in there for a long time.
Representative since 1996.
Bro. They DSA'd a 30-year incumbent, you guys.
Melat Kiros, who has lost.
What? How old is Melat? God damn it, I'm never going to get this name right. Melat Kiros.
Melat.
She's 29 years old. My goodness. It's just this is a Star Wars name. Let's be honest. This is a name of just some extra character in some saloon, you know, in the Star Wars universe. This is a made-up name.
Bro, you're named after furniture. You're named after a type of furniture nobody wants to buy anymore. It's the type of furniture that your grandma got rid of. Okay? The last time I ran into a Hutch was when I was watching Antiques Roadshow, and the appraiser was giving a reality check to some grandma that the fucking piece of furniture is worthless. We should turn you into firewood, you fucking loser. Like, what are you saying? This is a Hutch. It's where people put the, like, dust-covered tchotchkes they bought on QVC. That's what you're named after. An ugly piece of furniture nobody likes anymore. Calling anybody else's name anything is insane. No, me? Okay. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. But it could also be where CHTE rabbits are, Mike. Huh? That's right. I love those things. Everyone's grandmother had a hutch. No, your great-grandmother had a hutch. Your grandmother took it because she felt obligated, and your mother finally got rid of it. Okay? Like, he's named after the extra furniture that fills people's rooms for no reason. When you have extra walls and you need something to put against them, break the cycle. Stop buying hutch. Gene Diamond, welcome, brother. Sister.
That's another kind of humiliating loss, guys. I mean, it cannot be overstated. It cannot be overstated.
It's a useless vessel for old crap. Exactly. That's hutch. He has the political opinions of grandmas that still buy collectible dolls on QVC. Like, that is the equivalent age group for his political view. And honestly, most of them are to his left now.
Just how much the Democratic base right now is revolting against the perceived establishment, or just like the establishment. It's a real thing. Denver guy here, all of this makes sense because the people who were incumbents were, to quote, Hall & Oates out of touch. Interesting.
So the direction
the Marxists are coming. Yeah, true. I'm actually blown away at some of these outcomes. Hutch, how worried should I be? I can't listen. I don't think you should be that way.
The answer is Hutch is here's the thing. Hutch and Destiny understand that Hasan and I are good guys, that AOC and Zoran are competent politicians, that if we win, the only way that you guys will ever lose is they'll look stupid, right? Like, their plan of like profiting from corruption will have failed, but the country will be fine. In fact, the country will be great. Look at how good Zoran Mamdani is doing as mayor. If we got our policies passed, this country would actually be significantly better off. And they know that. Oh, Vio has brought me fruit and cheese and hutches. Vio has bought me hutches. All right, let's keep going.
Worried. It's kind of predictable. Like, we've seen this trend, this pretty consistent trend across the country where the Democratic voter base is just not satisfied with the Democratic Party.
How could you be satisfied with the Democratic Party? They lost to Trump twice. Healthcare is unaffordable. Housing's unaffordable. Childcare is unaffordable. Transportation networks are old and strained and over capacity. We have, like, this is something you guys need to understand. Traffic doesn't have to exist like the way it does. Like, you being in gridlock traffic while you commute is a sign of state failure. The fact that you don't feel safe at night as a single woman, that's state failure. That's not you being an idiot. That's not you lacking street smarts. That's a society that's poorly functioning. You should be able to wander around at night drunk and not be robbed or assaulted or hit by a car or had any problems. You should be able to walk around unprotected with a full wallet and have nothing happen to you. You should be able to drive or commute from your home to your work in an expeditious manner. You should be able to travel across the country without stepping foot on a plane. I should be able to walk out my front door. I live in a major American city. I should be able to walk out my front door and within 15 minutes get to a transit hub which could take me anywhere in the country. I should not have to step foot into a car at any point. Like, that is basic shit. If I get hurt, I should be taken to the hospital and given cutting edge free treatment free of fucking charge. When my kids are born, they should have education that starts right away. I should be handed a baby box of all the materials I'll need. I should get a child allowance that can help me pay for their food and their clothing and their crib and their car seat. I should get a car seat for free. I should have parent classes for free. I should have childcare for free. Everything that child needs from the moment they're born all the way until they graduate from college should be designed to maximize their potential, to help them find their purpose in life, to help them experiment and make mistakes in a way where it doesn't ruin their fucking life. This is not pie in the sky. This is common sense. This is how you get a functional society that doesn't have millions of people direly wrestling with horrible mental illnesses or addicted horrible to drugs. Like, this is basic common sense. And everything I'm saying is not pie in the sky. It's actually incredibly easy. And when somebody commits an antisocial act, they should get caught. This is where anarchists are going to disagree with me. If you commit an antisocial act, you should be caught. If you punch someone out on the street, you should be caught. If I take your purse, I should get caught. If I abuse a family member or somebody I'm in a domestic relationship with, I should get caught. Doesn't mean I need to go to some sort of horrible torture prison, but I should have to make up for the damage caused. I should get mental health treatment, and I should be rehabilitated. If my family's in poverty, somebody in government should be responsible for helping my family get out of poverty. They should have a name. They should be personally responsible for helping me. That's basic common sense. And the more functional society is, the less work we're going to have to do as far as like criminal justice or social work. You straighten that shit out, less and less people are going to be damaged. Less and less people are going to be hostile. Again, this is not pie in the sky. This is just common sense.
And so everybody's getting, like, all the incumbents are all like kind of, not all of them, but like, you know, they're having a rough go of it. But again, we can reasonably expect that there will be about 6 DSA Congress people when the next Congress is sworn in. And that is the same number of DSA people that they had in 2022 at their peak.
He's wrong. First of all, he's not counting a bunch of people that are Democratic Socialists who are not in the org and who will be very attracted to it. I'm talking about people like Greg Cesar. I'm talking about Summer Lee. I'm talking about Daniela Rodriguez. There's like a whole bunch of people we're going to recruit. That's number one. Although Greg Cesar is kind of a bit disappointing, so maybe he's not doable. But you get my point. There's a whole Abdul El Sayed, Graham Plattner. There's all going to be all sorts of people that are going to be largely aligned with us. And also, he's wrong. He's miscounting. Okay? Like, we're going to get Cori Bush back. We're going to get Jamal Bowman back. The squad is not the same thing as DSA. The squad members are mostly still there. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, Adam Hamaway. We're going to have Melat. We're going to have Daria Lisa. We're going to have my personal friend, Claire Valdez. She's not my personal friend. Brad Lander is another squad member, even though he's not a DSA guy. He's going to be on the level of what the old squad was. We're going to have AOC, who's going to be the presidential frontrunner. We have Hartzell. We have Oliver Larkin. We have Chris Robb. Denham's officially won. Accordingly, the court finds that defendant's live stream is not a market substitute for the nuke because 3 of the 4 fair use factors strongly favor defendant, including the most important factor, purpose and character of use. The court concludes that the fair use defense applies as a matter of law. Thus, defendant's motion for judgment on the pleadings is granted. Further, plaintiff presented a piecemeal argument during oral argument and asserted the defendant through a reaction video could potentially demonstrate fair use as to pieces of her video, but as not to other pieces. Plaintiff does not present the authority to support this argument. The court also does not find authority or bright line rule to endorse plaintiff's argument. Indeed, in Stebbins, with respect to subject live streams, the defendants viewed the subject video for seconds at a time before pausing to respond and critique the subject video. The court in Stebbins did not hold that certain pauses or portions of the video accompanied by defendant's criticism constituted fair use while others did not. Instead, the court found the subject live streams to be highly transformative works. For the foregoing reasons, the court finds defendant's use to be transformative. We're going to talk about this more tomorrow, chat, but everything that I said would happen, happened. I told you that the tentative ruling was not tentative. It was a last second, hey, you're about to lose. Do you have any bombshell evidence that you haven't submitted? Like he was toast the moment the tentative order was entered. Ethan Klein. She's gonna run.
J.D. Vance just said in an interview that he thinks you are going to be the leading Democratic candidate for president in 2028. What's your response to that?
I mean,
that's crazy. That's crazy. Why are you cheesing like that? That's crazy. That's actually crazy. You might as well say, yeah, I am. That's crazy, AOC. That is wild. That's all but a confirmation. That's more than a confirmation. I'd trust her word less if she said yes rather than smile like this.
You know, I hope he is. That's what I'll say.
So he's a Republican nominee?
Damn! She walked away too.
J.D. Vance just said in an interview that he...
All right, chatter. What of you chatters was there?
Hello. Hey, what's up? It's good.
And you wanted me to see.
Hey, you know me.
Which one is you? Are they still here? Because you linked me a video that shows the ground. So where are you so I can clip to it? Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Rab was amazing. Yeah. I'm under the ground. Thank you. Democrats 0.002 seconds after a Democrat wins.
Last night, various elections swept across America, including in the Big Apple, where political underdog Zohran Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo for mayor of New York City, drawing the ire of President Trump among many Democratic and Republican politicians. Here for comment is Senator Robert C. Entris. Senator, many are calling Mamdani's populist, strongly left messaging the future of the party. What say you?
I say this is a great day for Democrats, well, with all the various elections and so forth.
And what about Mayor-elect Mamdani?
What about him?
What are your thoughts on his victory?
Exactly.
Based on polling, young Democrats are overwhelmingly enthusiastic about him and his left-leaning policies.
Look, the kid is talent, and it's terribly great that he's having such a devastatingly positive impact on the young, impressionable future of this country.
Voters cite his emphasis on affordability as a key reason he won the election. I heard that voters like when you talk about the concept of hope and various hope-related, dream-oriented, hope-related goals. Hope goals. We have hope that a future is hopeful and hope is hopeful. Senator, are you worried for New York?
No. If Mr. Mamdani wasn't such a scary guy, maybe people would be talking about hope instead of how they can't afford rent or whatever.
Sorry, do you not support the mayor-elect?
That is a great question. How will he support Israel? That's not what I was... This means nothing to me. It's just like, it's like whatever.
Which is why we're going to win. Because Israel, like the genocide at Gaza has given such a clear litmus test of someone's humanity. VO, that's the most evil thing you've ever said.
As well as Hasan Piker, the far left firebrand. Here's what he told Fox and said, it's just the beginning. Watch.
I think progressive politics, left populism, a politics that centers the needs of the working class can work in every district, in every state. That's why I kept saying over and over again, it's coming to a city near you.
Okay, Tom, but both you and Hasan actually said a key word in your answers. The word was city, because it's important to note that John Hickenlooper, also in Colorado, but in the Senate, which is the entire state primary, actually fended off his progressive far-left challenger. So what does that tell you about the real potential for this to grow? Is this just a city thing? Have the states said, we're not going to go so far with a senator? What say you?
Remember in history that the cities are always more liberal than the countryside, but it starts somewhere. So London was more liberal than...
That's not even true. Many times the countryside has even been more left-wing. They're just not liberal. How much is Gonzalez catching up? Oh, they haven't had any more updates lately. Okay. So Gonzalez has narrowed it to 10. We haven't seen any updates late. They still say there's 81%. So they still say 19% of the vote. She won Denver by 6, but she really underperformed around the state. She had a DSA campaign. She probably would have won. Flipping 5% of the vote is not that hard. Have we seen any more drops for Melat? No, we haven't seen any drops since last night. So it's not being updated anymore. So there you have it. And here are our next DSA members, chat. We got Rashida Tlaib, Corey Bush, Donovan McKinney, Hartzell Gray, who was on the stream yesterday, Dave Zeglin, who's a national DSA endorsement. I think DSA National needs to endorse more people. Obviously, we got Melat, but I feel like we're under-endorsing nationally. I'd like to see a lot more endorsements, you know? And, like, we're doing pretty well overall. Next is August 4th, chat. So we got the whole month of July. I will share autopsy with you on Discord. Nice. Please do. The future of the left is, I feel like this year, Hasan and I and my, you know, we did not, we undershot. We undershot our goals. We're winning all over the place, but I feel like we undershot our goals. So we have 61 more races. Okay, we've got a bunch. Okay. Marissa Roy is going to win Los Angeles City Attorney. Marissa is somebody I think should run for Congress, to be honest with you. She seems pretty chill. We've got a lot of races. Oh, yeah, Heath. I talked to Heath yesterday, chat. Do we have any New Hampshire chatters? I talked to Heath yesterday. He's on my radar. Corrupt moderate Den slated to lose to a Republican. Did we primary Cuellar? Did we actually primary Cuellar or no? Why didn't Jessica Cisneros do it again? She would have won. Can I pin this link in Discord somewhere? What? Electoral DSA? This is like DSA main website. This is the electoral main website for the National Electoral Committee. Chat, I really want to get on this. I want to get on the NEC. I've been thinking about it. So stay tuned. Ugh. All right. Well, everybody, it is noon. I gotta go. It's super easy. I'm on the NEC. Hey, Soulless Viking, DM me. DM me. Because I haven't been learning about the bureaucracy of the like NEC at all, or like tell me what I need to do. Like if you're already on it, you would know. Is the NEC get elected? Yeah. Isn't that what I said? This clip from the top comment are the clips of that chatter earlier.
Here, Colorado. I am a resident here. I'm at the hospitals for checkups and just staying healthy all the time. Craig Hospital is one of the best spinal cord injury hospitals in the world, and we have it here in Denver, Colorado, and it is connected to Swedish Hospital, which is deteriorating. They've been having to fire people, do cuts, and everything. She has done nothing about it, and she is directly sourced from it with all of the pharma that she gets, like, money from and everything that she has begotten to, and it is absolutely terrible. She's hurting people, including me, and all kinds of people in Denver. And Denverites, get out there and vote. Get your vote. Please do it.
Hell yeah. All right.
You hold this for a sec?
Oh yeah, brother. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of the way this community is leaning into their power. I'm really proud of how this community is leaning into our power, and it's so gratifying to see Hasan step into the leading role that he has, was always what he was destined to do. So I hope that we can all continue to be a part of that. And I hope I could use whatever limited talents I have as well to help us continue to grow. Thank you, everybody, for all the support. You guys are the best. I'm actually just going to send you over to, I'm going to send you guys, gals, non-binary pals over to the mothership. So thanks so much for hanging out. I'll see you soon. What a win. And don't be shy to show people that Mike was right again. You know, Mike was right again. Mike was right again. All right, everybody, stay safe. Solidarity forever. I'll see you soon. Here's all my links. Make sure you also check out the podcast. We had an Atouche Films on the podcast. It's honestly one of my favorite episodes we've done yet. So please, please, please go check out the podcast. It's really good. All right, everybody, stay safe. See you soon. Solidarity forever. Peace out.